everyone. Welcome to Blue Jackets. It's the fun Blue Jackets themed podcast. My name is Kevin, and joining me tonight is my co-host Hefty Duck. And as always, we invite people to come on the show. Whether if they do or don't, there's always there's always next time. But anyways, we got a lot of stuff going on in the Blue Jackets world to talk about. The Blue Jackets have played 4 games since our last show, and they only won one of them. Realistically, they should have gotten at least 2, but, they pissed it away. But still some good moments in all those games, and we're going to talk about it. The Blue Jackets have called Luca Del Bel Blues up from Cleveland, and now he's going to be playing for the Blue Jackets. We're going to be talking about that. Damon Severson is playing really good for the Blue Jackets this season, and we're going to talk about that. Some Big Ten hockey news, and so much more. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Oh, yeah. Welcome in. Hope everyone has had a good week. I know it's been, at least it's calmed down a little bit with the weather here lately, I feel. It's been kind of nuts lately with all the wind and the storms. I don't know. Been pretty nice out. Was outside a little bit yesterday before the rain hit. Pretty all right. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe wherever you're watching from. If you're watching from YouTube, check us out on Twitter. If you're watching from Twitter/X, check us out on YouTube. We're trying to grow both here. We don't run ads, so the best way to support us is to like, share, or subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your friends' family. Let them know you're weird. Like, share, subscribe. Am I forgetting anything? I feel like I'm forgetting something. But I'm sure Kevin will clue me in. We never did talk about what we wanted to talk about first, but I know you got a couple more things, so take it away for a sec.
Yeah, so like Hefty Duck said, like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That would be greatly appreciated. Like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please tell your family, please tell your friends, like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. So, and as always, before we, get going here, don't forget to check out Union Blue Soldiers. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. Follow Union Blue Soldiers on all social media platforms. We do a lot of fun stuff like the marches that is now our new intro video that we do every show now. A lot of fun. We bring Blue Jackets fans together to cheer on the Blue Jackets. We do that and so much more. So check out Union Blue Soldiers. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. So, first things first, I'd like to start this show off today by saying that I got my nephew Titus, who was born on March 9th, so not that long ago, a Blue Jackets puck. Because I was in Columbus recently. I saw the 2 games this past weekend against the Sharks and against the Bruins, which, going to Blue Jackets games is fun and being in Columbus is fun, but, kind of sucked when they piss those games away. And we'll talk about that later on in the show and how I felt about that. But, for now, we're putting that off to the side. So I was in Columbus, and overall, that was pretty cool. Got a away Adam Fantilli jersey, and I always like to get some Blue Jackets pucks at the Blue Jackets store every time I'm in Columbus, so I did that. So that was cool, and of course, always got I'm an Ohio State guy every show. Not only do I have a Blue Jackets flag in the background, also have a Ohio State flag in the background, and always got to check out the Ohio State stores there as well. like Conrad's. Well, I'm sorry. Conrad's does not exist anymore. It was a good Ohio State store, but it doesn't exist anymore. So now it's a Rally House. So you check that out. And College Traditions and Buckeye Corner, So there's that. Of course, had to go to Roosters. Good little, chicken.
Fun casual joint.
It is. Now, I know you're just saying the slogan there, but it is a fun casual joint. You can get some chicken wings, you can get some burgers, get some salads. There's good potatoes, baked potatoes. They got some good baked potato skins there. I always get with a little sour cream dip. It's all good. Real good place. So you had to go to Roosters. Buckeye Donuts. That's another good place in Columbus. Had to go to Buckeye Donuts.
Hell
yeah. So of course, Skyline Chili. There's a Skyline Chili by Ohio State, so I had to get that. They have a chicken chili with the meat, the cheese, and the spaghetti. That was good. And they have a chili cheese baked potato. That's good. A good side salad. That was good. Had 2 cheese conies from Skyline Chili at each Blue Jackets game. So that was good. Saw a lot of my Columbus friends. So it was good. Good trip to Columbus there. It's a 7 out of 10. Would have been better if the Blue Jackets won those games, but you know what? That's okay. Still a good trip to Columbus because I live 7 hours away in Illinois, so I don't get to do it a lot. So when I do it, it's good. It is good. And last thing I'll say, and then we'll get Hefty Duck in here, is I also got my niece Ava a Blue Jackets puck because
nice.
She's kind of into that because she's been to my house many times and she's been in my room many times and she's seen my puck collection and she started looking at them and she thinks it's kind of cool. Like, oh, what's this? Oh, what's that? And like, oh, can I have one of your pucks? And it's like, no, sorry, you can't do that. That's part of my puck collection. I can't do that. I'll go to Columbus and I'll get you a puck. It's like, oh, and she's like, okay. So I got my niece Ava a Blue Jackets puck. So she can have her own Blue Jackets puck now. So that's that. So overall, pretty good trip to Columbus there.
Yeah. Actually, I was in Columbus for most of the weekend myself. Of course, I got my usual haunts. I love me some Mikey's Late Night Slice. That was awesome. And, I got food allergies, so I got to go to some specific places. I found some places. I got so many pastries. I ate way too much sugar. But I don't get to eat those things very often because, food allergy bullshit. Yeah. So that was a good weekend for me there in Columbus. Gonna be back down there this next weekend as well. It'll be a fun time.
All right. So next thing I want to get at here is Damon Severson. He's really stepped it up this season. He's played really good. The first 2 seasons, he has been very hit and miss. Sometimes bad, where he has a dumb brain fart moment that sometimes leads to a goal, and you're like, oh, God, what was that? That was God awful. What are you doing there? And then sometimes good. And like, whoa, Damon Severson, he played a real good game there. He made a big defensive play that helped the Blue Jackets win a game. He got a big goal that helped the Blue Jackets win a game. He blocked a shot that was real big in the game that helped him win. Like that was him. This season, there has been no brain fart moments. There has been no, oh God, what was that? That was terrible. None of that. It has all been good. Damon Severson has been playing awesome with the Blue Jackets this season. Very, very reliable. A stud. Put him anywhere. You need him to play first line minutes with Zach Werenski, he gets it done. You need second line minutes, he gets it done. Third line, fourth line, he's good. Put him anywhere in the lineup defensively, he is good. Block shots, penalty killing, power play, offense. He has a booming slap shot. If he scores a goal, 9 times out of 10, it's just a booming slap shot. And it's just like, all right, booming slap shot, and I'm just going to blow it past you, and you have no chance. You're not going to stop it. You have no chance. And then defensively, really good. He's been really good at breaking up passes, whether it be blocking it, using his stick to take the play away. He's big. He's been big. He's physical. Just everything that you could want. He's been doing it, and it's awesome. He is definite. When the season is over and we go back to doing our player report cards, he is definitely going to be in the A category because he has just been that good. I knew that, when the Blue Jackets got him, I knew that they were probably thinking, okay, we got a good player here, but I didn't think that they were thinking he could be this good. He has just been that good. He's really stepped it up and just so fun to watch. And just how between him and Zach Werenski have become one of the best defensive pairings that the Blue Jackets have ever had, where they just go out there and shut other teams down. And it's just so fun to watch. So nicely done, Damon Severson. You are getting an A because you have played so good this season.
Yeah, dude's been killing it. To the point where, obviously they pay close attention to watch every game, but I heard some of the announcers talking about the other day on one of the broadcasts that he's, maybe had a bit of a reputation for those brain fart moments we talked about, but we haven't seen those, and he's been very solid here lately, which has been very good for the Blue Jackets. It's a little unfortunate that he is week to week right now with an upper body injury. And which is just rough because kind of need that guy right now. It's crunch time for the playoffs. 8 games left. There's no room for error here, and I hope that they can fill a spot in well for him. But he's been doing so well. It's definitely a hard person to step up and replace.
Right.
He is. Let's see, where is he at right now? He's 8th in points right now. He's got 32 points this year. 8 goals, 24 assists. That ain't by accident. 71 games played. It's out there being a workhorse,
Right. He is. And I've thought about this for some time now. But I just wonder if him getting benched when the Blue Jackets went on that heater last season where he did not play a game, if that set something off for him. Because if you think about it, last season, the Blue Jackets, they went on that heater. They go on that run where they win every game, and then they just miss out by one game. And during that time frame, there was no Damon Severson. Any other defensive combination that the Blue Jackets had, they used during that stretch. Damon Severson was the only defenseman that the Blue Jackets did not play. Everyone else, they played. Zach Werenski, Eric Gabranson, Dante Fabro, Jordan Harris, Jack Johnson, Jay Christensen. Those were their defensemen. They all played, except for Damon Severson. And I understand why they did that, because, he was very boom or bust. And when you're in that situation where you don't have a lot of room to make mistakes, it can be a risk to play Damon Severson the way he was playing in that situation. And I just wonder if that's something that got his attention, and that the whole off season and going into this season, he worked on, it's I cannot let something like that happen again, where I have to be better, that I cannot sit on my ass and do nothing when we're going on, a 7-game, we're going on a 7-game heater and winning all these games. I just can't do that anymore. And he's not been taken out, other than this injury, he's not been taken out of the lineup. He's just been so good. And I just wonder if not playing in those games to finish out the season when the Blue Jackets went on that heater, winning all those games, if that got to him and got his attention, you need to be better.
Yeah. And as a pro athlete, I'm sure he went back this whole summer, watched videotape of himself, found out his weak spots, because it's noticeable. It's noticeable. And he's one of the older crowd out there in the NHL ice too. He's 31 years old. It's not to me, it's not old. Not old at all, like outside the hockey world. But to be learning and changing your game now is fantastic. You've been in the NHL for a long time. You get those habits, and once those habits are in, it's hard to break them when you've been going at it for that long. So it's good to see his willingness and the ability to recognize that and change and whatnot.
No, I would agree with that. He has just been so good, and I mean this in a good way. It came out of nowhere. It's like, where he's so good now, like consistently. Like, where did this come from? It's a pleasant surprise that Damon Severson is playing this good, and now he's hurt now, and that sucks. And it's a small sample size. It's only 3 games, but at the same time, you can tell it's making the difference. That the Blue Jackets are just not the same without him, because he's making that big of a difference with Zach Werenski. Because Dante Fabro, he was really good with Zach Werenski last year, and this year it's like 9 times out of 10, for the most part, it's like, what happened to Dante Fabro? Where's Dante Fabro? Like, he has his moments where he looks good, and then it's like, what happened to Dante Fabro? What happened? Where is 2024, 2025 Dante Fabro? Where did that come from? Where did he go? I want that Dante Fabro. I don't want this Dante Fabro. Because when, that does hurt the Blue Jackets, and then you take Damon Severson out, and it's like, oh, that is making a difference now. And that is not good.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to call people out. I'm about to call people out. So oftentimes the defensemen, they're going to have the most takeaways, and by default, the most giveaways. They have the most time on the ice of anyone other than the goaltenders. And that just goes to show here. We've been talking about giveaways and whatnot, and those airhead moments. Now, I'm not calling any of these guys airheads. In fact, the team revolves around Zach Werenski. He has 108 giveaways. He also has the second most takeaways on the team as well. Following him is Provorov with 105. So Werenski is giving away a couple more than that, but like I said, these guys have the most average time on ice of anyone in the Blue Jackets. So it's gonna come with the the more time you're on the ice, the more whatever. So then third is Adam Fantilli with 87. Actually, he has pretty average, pretty high average time on ice, with about 18 minutes 48 seconds. 87 giveaways, and then there's Severson with 82. So he's sitting back pretty good from the top, and he's played 71 games so far. 28 takeaways. So that's doing pretty damn good. In previous years he has been the top. It's definitely been a little bit of a change there, which is really cool to see.
Yeah. So. All right, one last thing I'd like to talk about before we get into like the real, big stuff here is I found this on Twitter, and I found it interesting, so I do want to talk about it, and I'm gonna put it up on the screen, which is this. So Afty Duck and I, we have had our fair share of complaints about, the Columbus media, and how, for the most part, they just kind of kiss Ohio State's ass and then not really talk about anything else.
I literally just reposted that.
Well, hey, what do you know? We're on the same. We're on the same wavelength here at Hefty Duck. We're on the same page here. So what do you know? Hefty Duck and I are on the same page. But anyways, so This isn't to say that not the Columbus media isn't everything is bad about it. No, there is stuff about the Columbus media that I do legitimately like, and there are people in the Columbus media that do not kiss Ohio State's ass. Like, they'll talk about them, but they won't kiss their ass, and they'll actually talk about the Blue Jackets. But that's not always the case. A lot of the times it's just, let's kiss Ohio State's ass, tell them how cool they are, and then like, oh, you wanted something else? You wanted to know about the Crew or the Blue Jackets or something else in Ohio? Screw you.
Mhm.
At best, here's like a 30-second clip. And then go back to kissing Ohio State's ass. And that is an issue that I've had with the Columbus media for some time. And then, obviously, Hefty Duck just retweeted this on our show's Twitter page, and then I retweeted it on Union Blue Soldiers, which is this. So, a guy in Pittsburgh, so I'm just, assume that he's a big Pittsburgh sports guy, says the Pirates with a series with their biggest division rival, so they do, they're playing my Reds, so, go Reds. So it says, Pirates with the series with their biggest division rival and the Penguins' playoff hopes on the line, but 93.7, I'm assuming that's the big radio station in Pittsburgh, is talking about Kenny Pickett's hands. Who's Kenny Pickett? That's the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Jackets Debrief saw that and responded to that tweet and said, the reason I don't listen to local sports talk is that it either devolves into NFL or Ohio State football talk every 20 minutes, which is kind of describing like what the Columbus media is for the most part. And it's true. So like when I saw that tweet today, like, yep, I got to talk about that on the show because it's true. Like, for the most part, many people in the Columbus media just kiss Ohio State's ass and talk about like what's going on with like the fifth string kicker on the Ohio State football team, and actually look around you what's actually going on in Columbus. Like, hey, there's the Blue Jackets and the Crew, and Clippers and all this other stuff going on. I don't know. Talk about that. This isn't like 1952 where like Ohio State is the only thing going on in town. You don't have to just bow down and kiss Ohio State's ass anymore. Like, yes, talk about Ohio State, but you need to talk about the Blue Jackets and anything else that's going on in Columbus right now. And for the most part, people don't do that. And like I said earlier on in the show, there are people that don't do that. They don't kiss Ohio State's ass. They will talk about Ohio State, but they'll also talk about the Blue Jackets or the Crew or something else, a more balanced coverage of what's actually going on. So, like, when I saw this, like, I just had to share this.
Yeah, me too. Shit.
Ah, boy. And like Dave Holmes, he got ABC 6 News. He does stuff for Fox 28 too, but he's mainly ABC 6 News. That is a perfect example of a guy who does not kiss Ohio State's ass. Yes, he will give Ohio State coverage, but he also goes out of his way and puts a lot of time and a lot of effort in talking about the Blue Jackets and the Crew. Like, he's been promoting this big story that he's got coming out this upcoming Wednesday, where he's talking to Johnny Gaudreau's wife, Meredith Gaudreau, about the 1-year anniversary of the birth of their son Carter Gaudreau. And the basic story and it's a video, and when you watch that teaser video, the general idea of that interview that Dave Holmes will be doing is talking to Meredith Gaudreau and saying, okay, what's it like? Well, at that time, it'll be 1 year later of having your kid being born without your dad. And what's that going to be like for him growing up? And talking about his dad, Johnny Gaudreau, and how he looks like him. And just the awesome, there is some hockey talk in there, like, oh, the awesome hockey player that he was and playing for the Blue Jackets. And there's a lot of stuff in this interview that he's going to be talking about. And that is a perfect example of someone going out of their way to do the hard stuff, to put in the work, to actually do something hard in the Columbus media, which is don't kiss Ohio State's ass and actually go out of your way to actually talk about the Blue Jackets. And Dave Holmes has been awesome about that. Time and time again, he's had good interviews talking about different Blue Jacket stuff. We've shown it on the show before, but he had an interview with the Blue Jackets equipment manager where he's talking to the Blue Jackets equipment manager, and the equipment manager is like, this is what it's like to be the equipment manager for the Blue Jackets. Every day I have to come in and, I got to do some laundry. I got to, fix the skates. Like the players want their skates to be a certain way. And I got to make sure that the players have their sticks, and what kind of sticks do they want? Do they want a shorter one, a bigger one? Do they want one that's got, more like a bigger bend on it? Sometimes the higher, lower, like what do you want? And then the certain skate guards they want, and shoulder pads and knee pads and just certain stuff. And it's like, oh, and then they want their jersey to be a certain way, and I got to hang it up this way and do this and do that. And just all this stuff that, goes into being an equipment manager for the Blue Jackets. It was a really good interview, and we showed it on the show. Like that, Dave Holmes is a perfect example of a guy who goes out of his way to actually, put in the work. Do the stuff that is not the easy stuff. The easy stuff is just bend over backwards and kiss Ohio State's ass. Like that's boring. That's not original. Everyone does that. That's way too easy. Everyone does that. You're not being very original when you do that. When you go, the hard stuff for most people is you actually go out of your way to actually talk about the Blue Jackets or the Crew or something else. And that's what I like about Dave Holmes. He's one of the people that actually does that. A little Crew, yes, he does Ohio State, but he also does a little bit about the Crew and a lot of good Blue Jackets stories. There's other people too. Anthony Rothman, 97.1 The Fan, and his co-host Matty Ice are like that. And a whole bunch of other people. So there are good people out there in the Columbus media that do not kiss Ohio State's ass and actually, talk about the Blue Jackets and other stuff.
Yeah, and then there's there is plenty of online resources. It's ridiculous though how many I'm not knocking on anyone in the podcast universe, but like there's quite a few football and mostly football podcasts out there. So I get that the NFL is going to be the biggest draw, and football in general then by default, because if the NFL is the biggest draw, then it kind of continues down the line. But there's the media is so weird when it comes to sports.
Mm-hmm.
It is very weird to me. I understand like taking the biggest thing first and putting that on your broadcast, as like your main feature thing, but to have it barely bring up anything else,
No.
in a city that is full of sports.
Yeah.
Like, and also too, Columbus could talk about 2 NFL teams on top of that. You know, a basketball team out of Cleveland,
Yep.
baseball team out of Cincinnati, baseball team out of Cleveland.
Yeah.
You know, in addition to not only the Crew, the Blue Jackets, the Clippers, is it the Charge? Is that their name?
No, the Fury. It's
The
Joe
Fury, the
Burrow's.
Charge in Cleveland. That's right.
It's owned. Joe Burrow owns a volleyball team here in
Yeah.
Columbus.
And then, and not to mention all the other individual Ohio State sports that, yeah, might matter more to people who go to or alumni or whoever of Ohio State, but it's a pretty big deal. And just for it to devolve to NFL it's boring to me. I personally, I like football. When it's on, I will watch it. Do I go out of my way to consume content about the NFL? No, I'm obsessed with hockey and baseball, and I don't really have much time for that anyway. So there is a crowd of people who don't care as much about football, and it'd be nice to have a little bit more representation on the bigger medias because we have plenty of representation here. There's several podcasts. There's some Blue Jackets podcasts out there I really like, not just us, you know. And there's tons of NHL podcasts as well. I'm not always the biggest fan of some of them, but I'll tune in every now and then. I saw What Chaos Was live today, and they were talking about the thing over in Vegas where they fired their head coach, and old Blue Jackets pal John Tortorella just got hired there and whatnot. And you know, I did that instead of turning on SportsCenter. You know why? Because I don't really. There's nothing on SportsCenter for me.
Yeah.
I like some basketball. I'll watch some basketball when it's on too, but there's nothing on SportsCenter for me.
Yeah.
I have no reason to watch it ever. ESPN in general, but except for the fact that they have hockey games on their app.
Yeah.
ESPN, like this, and this is why I even bring it up. It's like the biggest, you know, sports media out there and has been for so long.
Yeah.
But then you look north to our neighbors, and yes, they have less American football and less stuff like that. But it's given an equal stage,
Right.
equal playing field, so to speak, or at least a bigger section, a bigger chunk. So I mean, just personally, I'd like to see that. It's going to be a smaller market. We understand that. I always understand that, but it's representation on a bigger stage. It would just it would be nicer to see.
And it, you know, I kind of agree with Hefty Duck here on something like he doesn't really watch ESPN that much, and I'm kind of like that too. The only reason I only watch ESPN is if the Blue Jackets are on ESPN or Ohio State football.
Yeah. When I was growing up, I used to. I loved SportsCenter, man. I would watch it every day before school. Every single day, I would put it on, and I love the top tens. I love the not top tens. They had fantastic anchors then. You know, everything was funny. It's just football and basketball. It's just the two sports I just don't watch like hardly at all.
Yeah. All right. So
anyway.
All right, on to the games that the Blue Jackets have played. So first off, we get to talk about something really good, which is the Blue Jackets got a big win in Philadelphia, beating the Flyers 3-2. Now, that first period started out good. The Blue Jackets had they're playing a real good game there. Good shifts in the offensive zone. They had some good chances. They couldn't score, but it was good. Good start. You did everything right but score a goal. So that part of the first period was a 9 out of 10. However, though, the rest of that first period was god-awful 0 out of 10 because for whatever reason, the Blue Jackets stopped playing. They just let the Flyers just kind of take over the game. And eventually they give up a goal because they can't get it out. 2 or 3 different tries to get it out. They can't get it out. And then eventually the Flyers score. And it's like, that was stupid and idiotic. That was a very easy, preventable goal. All you had to do was get it out, and you don't get scored on. But you don't get it out, and you get 2 or 3 tries to get it out. You can't get it out, and you get scored on. So overall, that was a 1 out of 10 first period. Not good. Now, we get to the second period, and the Blue Jackets played a real good game. That was a 10 out of 10 second period. One of the best second periods they played all season long. They get 2 big goals from Matthew Olivier and Zach Werenski. And quick strike 2. Boom, boom. Real 2 quick goals. And just like that, you were down 1-0, and now you're up 2-1. And then and you had some more good chances there where it easily could have been 3-1, 4-1. You didn't get it, but still good shifts in the offensive zone. You locked it down defensively. You didn't really give the Flyers anything to shoot at. We did go to the third period. It was a 9 out of 10 third period. You start off the third period playing really good. Good shifts in the offensive zone. And eventually, you get a big goal from Mason Marchment. And it was just an awesome goal. Because it was a quick bang, bang play. Mason Marchment shoots it. It goes in the net, and it quickly goes out. And nobody thinks it's a goal except for Mason Marchment. And he's pointing at the net like, that's a goal. But no one on the ice thinks it's a goal. And so it's like, dude, I get it. You think it's a goal, Mason Marchment, but the play's still going. Get your ass in the game. Let's go.
Was it Provy that was still working his ass off? Was it Provorov, or was it 19 or 90 or 9?
Someone else. One of those.
Someone's out there still getting it for the Blue Jackets. At least one guy was.
Yeah, but like, so it doesn't work. So at that point in time, okay, Mason Marchment thinks he got a goal, and he's like, it's a goal, but no one else thinks it's a goal. So it's like, all right, I get it, but you got to get your ass back in the game, Mason Marchment. Let's go. Don't slack off. And then the Blue Jackets, they make good play to keep the puck in the offensive zone, and they get a couple. They try to shoot it again. They don't get it, and then the Flyers get it out. And then eventually, play gets stopped, and then it goes to review. And they're like, well, they might have something here. And then you look at the review, and it's a goal because the puck, what happens is when Mason Marchment shoots it, the puck goes in, it hits the back of the net, and then it pops right back out. But like when you see it in real life, you see it fast on the replay, you could see why they said no goal. You could see it. That's very understandable. But then when you slow it down and you see it hit the back of the net and then it pops out quickly, you're like, okay, yeah, that's a goal. What also made that very impressive was this. Mason Marchment, he was kind of below the goal line. Well, he was right by the goal line, and he was a left-handed shot on the left side of the ice. So, and he was shooting it at kind of an awkward angle. So, like, that's a hard shot for him to do. If he's a right-handed shot on the left side of the ice, that's an easy goal. That's a way better, easier shot for him. But because he's a left-handed shot on the left side of the ice, right by the goal line at kind of an awkward angle, that was a hard shot. So for him to get it off and then score, that was really good. Really good shot by Mason Marchment. So eventually they goes to review. They call it good goal. And they do have to add time back on the clock because it originally called no goal. There was time that got taken off the clock. And then they have to go back and put time on the clock. And that was another thing they had to review was, okay, if this is a goal, how much time was on the clock when that puck went in the net? And then that's how much time you have to put back on the clock. So they do that. Everything is good to go. And that was a really good third period. until the Flyers pull the goalie, the Blue Jackets have a couple defensive shifts that get it out, and then they have chances to get it out. They don't get it out, and then they score. And then it gets a little boy. Like, I hope they don't do this third period BS again. Because the Flyers, they had some good chances there where they could have tied it. But they didn't. And in the end, the Blue Jackets get the big win. Jack Reeves, big saves. Awesome. And overall, that was a pretty good game there by the Blue Jackets. 8 out of 10. Nicely done, Blue Jackets.
Yeah, overall, this is a pretty good game. I got some gripes. I'm going to let Kevin be the good cop on this one. I'm going to end up being kind of the bad cop. I'm going to come out here bitching a little bit. I would probably flip-flop in a different game here later on, too. First period, kind of mid. Here's why. Blue Jackets 3 shots on goal. Brother, holy shit. 3. It's a good thing. 3. Couturier got the first goal for the Flyers to start it off. It's always nerve-wracking when the other team scores first, especially when you're in their house. Flyers been doing pretty good here lately, so it could be kind of rough. 5 out of 10 first for me. Great start and puck movement for the second period. I mean, when you start out less than a minute in with a goal, I'm gonna, that ups it, the score for me a lot. Matthew Olivier as well coming in hot with his 15th of the year. He's still doing a lot. He's still doing a lot this year. He's not having the biggest career year like last year. I think he's already doing better than last year, actually, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just like, we expect this now, kind of, as opposed to holy shit, look what he's doing. It's like, do it. And then Zach Werenski, oh my God, I was watching something on YouTube about Zach Werenski talking about how his low, quick shot is so deceptive, and he shows it right here. I mean, his blade barely comes like off the ice much compared to a lot of other shots. The way where his stick finishes is not up; it's pretty damn low, but it's so fast, it's so quick. Half the time you don't even realize he's shooting it until he's halfway through his shot, and then you're like, oh shit, hold on, gotta be prepared for that, because his pass looks just about the same.
Yes.
Or it could be. So absolutely great, good aim there under the glove. 9 out of 10 second period for me. Loved it. I think I took 1 point off for the cross check from Fabro, just because I gave them a little bit of a power play. Sick. It was just the penalties in general. Olivier got interference 1. So we're gonna talk about this old argument about if it's embellishment, should it also be a penalty, or should it just be the embellishment call? Now, it was a cross check on Michkov. It was a cross check, so I get that you're calling it. He sold it too hard. So I kind of get it in this case. I mean, it was a penalty, but Michkov was also trying to make it worse than it was. Some penalties don't look that bad. We'll talk about some really soft-ass penalties coming up here later, too, and talk about how I thought this game was trying to be given to Philly by the refs, but that's just me and my bias as well. There was some soft-ass calls here. 24, yes. So at the very end of the game, the Flyers scored their second goal. Jamie Drysdale coming in for his 8th goal of the year. Now, this was so close to the end of the game, it made you, makes you pucker up a little bit when you're watching the Blue Jackets in third period, and the other team comes with one goal with an empty net. Because, holy shit, do we know this team or not? So why Philadelphia scored there is the Blue Jackets broke their defensive structure and their D line to go behind the net for a puck that didn't matter. Both of them did it. So if it was one player, it would have been a little bit different. But both guys who were kind of near the net opened it up, and then it came out from behind the net, of course, and they weren't there in front of the net then to be where they were behind before it. But good Branson with a great block there near the end too, to absolutely just didn't even have to get to Greaves to save it. Yeah, 5 shots in the third, so it's a fucking miracle they won in some ways because it's a great game overall. They really showed a lot of skill, a lot of great puck movement, but some of the and a win's a win. It doesn't matter how you got there, as long as you win, it's a win. It's just you do this against a different team. Hell, I'm surprised they did it against this team. That's a pretty decent team out there going on. But we got the Canes coming up, back-to-back games coming up, not back-to-back like day to day, but like the Canes twice in a row this week, and cannot get 3 shots on the Canes in 1 period and expect to win that game in the slightest. There's no way. Anyway, that's my rant. Thank you for coming on my TED Talk. 7 out of 10. I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. Pretty good game overall. But come on, refs.
Yeah.
That's in my notes.
Yeah. All right, on to the next game. The Blue Jackets lose a very winnable game in Montreal, and that was a 6 out of 10 for me. So this comes down to this for me. So they give up, a goal to Montreal to start off the game, and in my opinion, that was a goal that Jet Greaves should have stopped. Why? Because I'll back this up. First, again, Montreal has a good shift in the offensive zone. The Blue Jackets can't get it out, and eventually they score. However, though, I think, in my opinion, this is one that Jet Greaves should have probably stopped. Why? Because the guy who shoots and scores, he's a left-handed shot on the left side of the ice, and it's kind of at an awkward angle. He doesn't have a lot to shoot at, but he shoots it anyways, and it's kind of a squeaker. And it goes through. Like, don't do that. That is just bad. Don't do that. And this is another, I'll just say this. Every time Elvis Merzlikins gives up a bad goal, I see it on Twitter. Like, Elvis, what are you doing? You suck. Derp, 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 derp. Elvis. Yet I don't see that same energy when it's Jet Greaves giving up a bad goal, because he's done it, but I don't see it. A lot of you let your Elvis Merzlikins hatred get in your way. And yes, Elvis Merzlikins is what he is. Sometimes he's bad, but sometimes he's good. And when he's good, he's really good, where he takes over the game and the Blue Jackets win because of that. And he's really good in shootouts. He'll make a big save to keep you in the game. He's hit and miss. That's what he is. Keep that same energy you have for Elvis Merzlikins for Jet Greaves, but neither here nor there. But anyways, in my opinion, I think he kind of let in a squeaker there on the first goal. Shouldn't have done it, but it happened. But later on in the first period, the Blue Jackets get a big goal from Damon Severson. And why you get this goal is because you make a good play in the defensive zone to get the puck out. You make a couple good passing plays. You get it in the offensive zone. Puck goes to Damon Severson. He shoots and scores. Blows it past the goalie. He has no chance. Awesome shot. Awesome goal. Awesome play to help set up that goal. So it was good. Now, after that, it was okay. Because you give up a goal to Montreal. And this is where Jet Greaves, his weakness got him again. Jet Greaves is a shorter goalie, and so because of that, he's going to give up goals up high. He has difficulty getting goals up high because he's shorter. And what happened? The second goal that the Canadians scored was a shot from up high. Jet Greaves couldn't do anything about it because he's just a little too short to cover the upper part of the net. Montreal shoots up high. It's a goal. And his weakness of goals up high cost him. And that's just what it is. And we get later on in the game, the Blue Jackets have some good chances. They can't put it away. They pull the goalie, have some real good chances. And Mason Marchment, wide open chance, and he whiffs. doesn't get it. And that ended up being the game. And it's everything that you could have wanted. Mason Marchment is a left-handed shot, and he was on the right side of the ice. Like, that stuff matters. If you're on the left side of the ice, you want a right-handed shot, because then they can just one-time it in there. And if you're on the left side of the ice, no, if you're on the right side of the ice, you want a left-handed shot, because, again, that's a much easier shot where they can just quickly get it off. No effort, just get it off. And Mason Marchment was a left-handed shot on the right side of the ice, wide open in front of the net. Can't get it. The Canadians get it out, and eventually that's the game right there. And that was a very winnable game, but you pissed it away. Because during the game, Steve Mears and Jody Shelley talked about this, is that Montreal is a team that they want to go, go, go. They want to go really fast. And if you let them go fast, you're going to get screwed. You'll get burned, because they have the talent to where they can get, you let them go, 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 you let them go fast, they get a couple good shifts in the offensive zone, and before you know it, bang, it's in the back of your net. When the Blue Jackets did not let them do that, they took away their fast game. They did not let them go, 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 go. They didn't let them go fast. Montreal had nothing. They had nothing. But when they slipped up and they let Montreal go fast, they got burned. So, very winnable game, but you pissed it away. So 6 out of 10. So you muted.
Thanks. So yeah, I had this one ranked a little higher for most of the game, and then that score dropped drastically.
Yeah.
I'll just go over the way I kind of saw some things happen here. First thing I gotta say, never mind, different game. So in the first period, I'm gonna talk a little bit about missed shots, because a lot of people are pointing the blame at Mason Marchment towards the end, when there was like a possible place where he could have, it was kind of an open net and he couldn't get his stick there on the puck. People giving him a lot of shit for that online. I get it. It sucks. He was probably giving himself more shit for it himself. You saw how disappointed he looked in himself. He was turned away from the camera, but I could pretty much read his lips from looking at his body language. Also, Marchenko had a sick one-timer try. Good try. So where the first goal comes from, the Blue Jackets left the man wide open. The three guys in the defensive zone scrunched together left center. I'll talk about this again in this game, and I've talked about this almost exact scenario a million times. You got to know where your man is, but you got to know where your men are. Like, it's and I don't know if it's like miscommunication. Who it's miscommunication it might be from. Who goaltended for this? I'm sorry. Jet Greaves. So, I'm not saying it's his fault by any means, but what's going on in the defensive zone is usually directed by the goaltender as well. So, these guys have to be a little more conscious of what's going on there. Overall, I gave that first period 7.5 out of 10. Jenner to Sivo, what a great chemistry they got going on. Two veterans doing the right thing, doing what they're able to, and doing their job. Second period, the strip was amazing by Jenner. Miles Wood, kind of, it really wasn't a whiff, but he shot the puck, and like literally before it was even off the end of his stick, it was just going straight in the air from off the next guy's stick. But good try. Good try, Marchment there in the middle of the period too. He was doing some hard work out there, getting some shots. 8 out of 10. It kept it scoreless. I mean, they didn't score, so that's why it's not 10 out of 10, obviously, but they kept it scoreless for the other team. So far they got 7.5 in the first. They got 8 out of 10 in the second. So looking not bad. Third period. So let's talk about this goal because it happens within an amount of time that the Blue Jackets should have, definitely should have came back from. So for the goal that Zachary Bullock scored for the Habs, it stems from a bad line change. Again. But not only that, there was 3 dudes once again within 3 feet of each other, fucking around, not positioning themselves correctly and getting scrunched up and then getting take advantage of them. And basically, because they're so close to each other and they can't really move much out from this position so awful, it allowed the Habs. They walked right through the defense. I mean, they're skating, but they coasted through the defense. There was barely a player taking a pump. It was just basically coasted. So, damn boys, that's rough to see. I'm not going to point a finger at blames or whatever, but you know who you are. So that gave me a I don't know, like a 4 out of 10 for the third period because of that. So overall, roughly, I'm not even going to add the averages together. I'm just going to say 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
5 out of 10. 6 out of 10. You scored one.
Yeah, 6 out of 10. I gave it a 6 out of 10. That's where I'm at.
Oh, yeah. That's fair. Yeah. On to the next. I don't have as many notes for the next one.
Yeah. All right. So this was disgustingly god awful. 2 out of 10. Like, what was that stupid, weak, pathetic nonsense? Now, the game starts, the Blue Jackets play a game against the San Jose Sharks, home in Columbus. The game starts off good. The Blue Jackets have a good shift in the offensive zone, and 31 seconds in, Denton Mateychuk gets a big goal. So that was cool. Yeah. And then later on, and then the Blue Jackets build off that. They have more good shifts in the offensive zone. They don't get anything, but, it was cool. And then, they give up a goal. That was stupid. And, it was an okay first period. Second period kind of starts off better. Good shift in the offensive zone. And eventually they get a big goal from Cole Sillinger. The Sharks goalie is probably going to look at that one and say, yeah, I should have had that one there because that was kind of a squeaker. Because Cole Sillinger shoots it and puck bounces off of him, and then it kind of slowly goes into the net. So, Sharks goalie should have had that one. But it benefited the Blue Jackets, which is good because normally we give up the squeakers. So it was good to have be on the other side of that where the opposing team gives up a squeaker. So that was good. Now, we give up a goal on the power play, which, in my opinion, was a weak, pathetic call, was not a trip. Did he get tripped? Yes. Did he fall down? Yes. But he essentially did what Matthew Tkachuk did against the Blue Jackets. So it's that the stick barely touches the skate, and then all of a sudden he falls down. And then it's like, screw you, that's not a trip, but whatever. And then you don't win the face-off, and then puck goes to one of their best players, Macklin Celebrini, who's wide open and shoots and scores. And then on top of that, I'm dinging Elvis Merzlikins on this one just a little bit because he's not set. He's still standing. By the time he gets over, he's still kind of standing up. And why that matters, if you're standing up, you have a better chance of giving up a goal. If you're set in the net, your chance of giving up a goal goes down. But he wasn't set. So you combine the fact that you didn't win the face-off, and then you're not set, that's why you give up a goal. So there's that. Now, we go into the third period, and it was kind of They had, it was just kind of there. You had some chances to score. You don't put it away, whatever. But in the end, you give up a goal because of a stupid, idiotic pass. What was that weak, pathetic nonsense? You're in your defensive zone, and the smart thing, because it was late in the game with little over a minute to go in the game, the smart thing in that situation is just get it out. Live another day. This is not the time to be trying some fancy pass. What happens though? The Blue Jackets try and make a fancy pass, and they try and pass it to Boone Jenner, but the puck is behind Boone Jenner. He can't get it. It bounces off his skate. It goes the other way. The Sharks get it, and then eventually they shoot and score. And it's like, what was that nonsense? What are we doing here? You did not have to do that. Get the puck out, live another day. At minimum, if you don't score there, you go to overtime, you have a chance to win. But you didn't do that. You did a stupid, weak, idiotic pass in your defensive zone. And it cost you. Unacceptable. Stupid. And eventually the Blue Jackets lose. That was a very, very, very winnable game. And you pissed it away. Honestly, I kind of think you took the Sharks for granted. Because going into that game, you had 87 points. They had 72 points. And that's okay. They're lower in the standings. We got this. You can't fucking do that. Never do that. That's where you get into trouble. Do not overlook the opponent. When you do that, you're screwed. You get into trouble. And it costs you. You get nothing. Unacceptable. That is a 2 out of 10 game. It needs to be better. Unacceptable.
Yeah, that was some horseshit. First period started out good. First period started out as good as the third period, as bad as fuck. Hold on. The first period started out as good as how bad the third period ended. There, I got it out.
Yeah.
Denton Matejchuk coming in with his 12th of the year. Little assist from Adam Fantilli. Adam Fantilli picking up the points there is absolutely sick. No power play. 8 out of 10 just because, if it would have been 10 out of 10, but Igor Chernyshev scored. New guy, don't know who he is. Second period, sick one-timer from Cole Sillinger. Absolutely demolished the puck into the back of the net. That's a 9 out of 10 period for me. The only thing was the hooking from Boone Jenner that was kind of stupid, and the Blue Jackets could not capitalize on their own power play. So they gave up a power play and couldn't capitalize on theirs. So, I got to I'm taking a point out for that. Now we go to the third period, and Nedeljkovic saved the day here. But we're going to talk a little bit. Hold on, let me rewind it a little bit. No, hold on. I'll make a point here in a second. So, gave up the power play goal to Macklin Celebrini. That's starting to suck. Okay, now it's tied. Like I said in the last one, now is when you start puckering up a little bit because of the Blue Jackets in the third period in the 2025-2026 season. It's just been anyway. So that final goal from Igor Chernyshev, his second goal for the game, his first multi-point game in the NHL, multi-goal game in the NHL. It kind of looked like it hit Goodbranson in the calf a little bit. Like, no fault of Goodbranson's. It's just like it sucks that there was like some, body on it that didn't get the whole thing. But those two goals take it down to a literal 1 out of 10 for me in that third period. There was a couple like good things, but that tripping penalty. Yeah. I don't know. I was talking about it earlier in the show about how there's been some really soft calls here lately, and I don't know if the refs didn't get the memo, like, hey, it's ramping up the playoff season. They're gonna play fucking hard. Both teams are. Both teams are rough. Like, and both these games are rough. But let me tell you what was very easily. I guess it's not a cause that they lost because actually nothing came out of it. We have to praise Elvis Merzlikins for this game because instead of it being like 8-2, it was only 3-2. Because in the second period, the San Jose Sharks took 18 shots on goal. 18 shots on goal. That is 6 less than the Blue Jackets had in the whole game in one period. And that's going to wear you out. That's going to wear your goaltender out. That's going to cause injuries. Boom, people will get worn out like that. You're too close to the playoffs to be giving up that many shots to a team like the Sharks. A year or two ago, saying a team like the Sharks would have meant shit. You'd been like, oh, yeah, okay, whatever. But, like, it means something this year. Michkov is on a tear. He's doing great. And when you give up 36 shots on goal to your 24, yeah, you're going to lose. That's a whole period and a half's worth of shots that you didn't get, that you gave the other team instead of yourself. So, you got, like, what the hell? Elvis Merzlikins was the second star of the game because he had a freaking 917 save percentage. He lost. He's the second star of the game over Celebrini, who got a goal and assist. That's how much do you let Elvis get shelled? What is going on? What was going on there? And if you were sitting back so much in the second period and letting them shoot, why did you crap out in the third period so bad? Were you not pacing yourself or something, or what? What do you mean they got 18 shots in one period, dude? What? That's sad. Especially when like a couple like 2 games ago, the Blue Jackets had 3 shots in a whole period. 3. Imagine 15. I'm about to get more mad about this, so I'd like to move on because that's sad.
Yeah.
That's just freaking sad, boys. I know you can do better. I've seen you do so much better. Unfortunately, during this Sharks game, Dmitry Voronkov is now week to week. That was the date of the injury, was that day. I didn't exactly see what happened, or was it during that game, or was it prior to this announced it that day? I kind of forget. But Dmitry Voronkov's out. He's week to week right now.
Yeah.
And so he joins Damon Severson, who's week to week. He got hurt in the game prior. And then the game yesterday, hopefully Olivier is fine. But we can talk about the shit-tastic game from yesterday, too.
Right. Well, let's get this out of the way because we got to do it. So I was at both games. I was at the game, the Blue Jackets game against the Sharks, which sucked, and I was at the game where the Blue Jackets played against the Boston Bruins, which also really, really sucked and was god awful and unacceptable. I mean, it started out good. You played a good game in the first period. Good shifts in the offensive zone. You get 3 big goals from Boone Jenner, Mason Marchment, and Charlie Coyle. And, awesome. And it's all just by putting, Boone Jenner. You make a couple good plays in the defensive zone. It sets up, a good play in the offensive zone. Carlin Garland gets it and looks like maybe he shoots it, but at the last moment kind of, passes it over to Boone Jenner. He shoots and scores. Awesome. And then Ivan Provorov, the second goal is a Mason Marchment goal, and Mason Marchment gets it because Ivan Provorov, he has a shot up high by the point, and he shoots it, and then puck bounces off Mason Marchment's stick. It goes in. Good deflection. Charlie Coyle gets a goal on the power play. And, that was a hard shot for him because he was a right-handed shot on the right side of the ice. And he's kind of shooting it at kind of an awkward angle when he shot it. but he still got it through. Good shot. So good job. 10 out of 10 first period. That was easily one of the best first periods you had played all season long. It was just that good. You played really good defense. You didn't really give the Bruins anything to shoot at, and you were on their ass. You were. You didn't really give them any room for pressure, hit, physicality, grind it out. Defense was good, nothing to shoot at. Your offense was good shifts in the offensive zone. Elvis Merzlikins' big saves. Everything was good about that first period. And then from then on, god awful. Like, what happened? Seriously, what happened? That was god awful. What happened? What happened? Unacceptable. Unacceptable. You just stopped playing. Why? Why did you do that? Why did you stop playing? Why? Why did you stop playing? Hockey's a 60-minute game, not 20. But you didn't do that. You played 20. You forgot you needed to play the other 40. Why'd you do that? Why? Unacceptable. You know, it's like what Hefty Duck was saying when we're talking about the game against the Sharks. You just did nothing. You just sat back and you just let them have the puck and just shoot it. Like, there's a balance. You don't want to be too conservative where you're just sitting there and let them do everything. But then you just don't want to be too aggressive where you're just running around, metaphorically speaking, running around with the chicken with their head cut off, where there's no reason behind the aggressiveness and there's no structure. You don't want that either. So you got to find that balance. But the thing was, the Blue Jackets were going way too far into the too conservative end of things, where they were just sitting there doing nothing, letting the Bruins just have the puck and just shoot. What are you doing? Why? What are you doing? Unacceptable. You don't need to be doing this. You do not need to be doing this. Unacceptable. And then we get to the third period, and it was even worse than the second period. The only good thing about the second period is that the Bruins didn't score any goals. They could have scored some goals there. They didn't. But you know what? You played a good enough game that you kept them off the scoreboard. You're up 3-0 after 2. So you know what? Going into that, I said I didn't really, because I was at the game, and like I really didn't like that second period. But you know what? They're up 3-0 after 2. I'll look the other way. It's cool. It's fine. Third period. What was that stupid, weak, idiotic, pathetic nonsense? Awful. What was that? Terrible. You just stopped playing. Because as soon as the third period happened, it's just like, he's like, it's okay. It's okay. We got this. We're up 3-0. It's okay. We got this. We can win this. It's okay. No, it's not okay. You can't play like that. Awful. You cannot play like that. Because when you play like that, you get burned. You get screwed. Because what happens? You give up 3 goals. And now it's tied up at 3. And Boone Jenner, what are you doing? You know, you're playing a good game there. You get a big goal there. You block some shots. You make some good plays defensively that game. But what are you doing? 2 stupid tripping calls. And it all happens because you're just standing there, reaching out your stick. You're being lazy. Skate, skate. Skate, skate, skate. Move your feet. Move your feet. You do that, you are not going to get called. But you didn't do that, so you get called. Now, the second goal that happens, again, I don't think that should have happened because it was a very, very weak slashing call. Very ticky-tacky. Like, no. Like, why are you calling that? And then they score. In part because you lose the face-off, and then you don't clear the net, and you let a guy right in front of the net tip it. Now, Jack Reeves had no chance on that goal. But again, this is where him being short screwed him. Because he was a shorter goalie, he was not able to get that because, boom, just tip it. It goes up high. He can't get it. If he's taller, he probably, even on the tip, he probably saves that. But he didn't get it. And then you have a chance on the power play. You don't get it, which would have been big. It would have made it 4-2. It would have made it way harder for the Bruins to come back. But you didn't do that. You know, I see Mason Marchment and just the guys in general just playing footsie with the puck, pass, looking for that perfect play, and then maybe you shoot it once, and then the Bruins get it out, and nothing. Awful. What are you doing? And then finally, again, Boone Jenner with the dumb tripping penalty because he's not moving his feet. He's not skating. And then it cost the Blue Jackets because then it becomes a 6-on-4 because the Bruins were pulling the goalie. And the Blue Jackets were doing a good job. The Bruins didn't really have a lot to shoot at. The Blue Jackets were getting the puck and they were getting it out. I have a pretty good feeling about this. If Boone Jenner doesn't do that stupid tripping call, the Blue Jackets probably win that game. That's how good a defense they were doing at 5-on-4. And you do that stupid tripping call and makes it a 6-on-4. You can't get it out. Charlie Coyle, you have the puck. It's right there. Just get it out. And you don't get it out. You play footsie with the puck, you fumble it, and then the puck bounces to a Bruins player who's wide open, shoots and scores. That's unacceptable. So you right then and there, you blew a 3-goal lead. We get to overtime. They didn't score, but it was better because at least just about every other shift was Kirill Marchenko, Zach Werenski, Adam Fantilli. And Hefty Duckov and I have talked about this, where this is an issue that we've had with overtime, where we're not throwing our best guys out there. We're throwing guys out there that don't belong out there on 3-on-3 overtime. And then maybe later on in the game, if the overtime is still going, then we'll throw out Marchenko or a Werenski or a Fantilli or a Ken Johnson or a Mason Marchment or something like that. But so we weren't doing that. We're better about that. And yet we're still throwing guys out there that do not belong there on the ice at 3-on-3, which I do not get. Just no. But no one scores in overtime. We get to the shootout, and you're kind of feeling pretty good about that. It's like, okay, the Blue Jackets are good in shootouts. Good chance they get this done. They get the win. Nope. The one time it fails you. You're really good in the shootouts this season, even last season. The last 2 seasons, you've been really good in the shootouts. It's basically guaranteed win, generally speaking. And you screw that up. Like Adam Fantilli, I like you very much. You're one of my favorite players on the Blue Jackets. I have 3 of your jerseys. I have an outdoor game jersey, a Adam Fantilli 3rd jersey, and I just got an Adam Fantilli away jersey at Polaris Mall. So you could say I'm a pretty big Adam Fantilli guy. You've been so good at everything. Offense, defense. Your faceoffs are getting better. Power play. Doing some penalty killing time. You're doing good with that. But for whatever reason, this season, you have been so god-awful in the shootout. I don't get it. And it's getting to a point to where I'm like, if possible, I would rather not see Adam Fantilli in the shootout ever again this season. He's been that bad. He's only gotten 1 goal That was against Pittsburgh. The Blue Jackets won that game, so that's a big reason why they won that game. But other than that, he's been god-awful. Other than that one time, every other time he gets to a shootout, miss, and not reliable. And Kirill Marchenko, he's been so good in the shootout. He's basically money. Basically a guaranteed goal. And then he doesn't get it. Like, what are we doing here? Now, the Blue Jackets do get a big goal in the shootout from Charlie Coyle, so that was good. But then they give up another one and they lose. And in the first shootout goal that the Blue Jackets gave up, again, what happens? Jack Greaves' inability to stop goals up high cost them. Because what happened? They shot up high and they got him. So this went from a 10 out of 10 game to a 2 out of 10 game that quick. That was disgusting and very unacceptable. Wrong. You do not do that. But you did. 2 very winnable games that you could have had that would have made it so much easier on you trying to make the playoffs. You could be at 91 points right now. That's a lot easier to get in, trying to fight for a playoff spot and trying to get in. But you didn't get that. You only have 88. And honestly, that means nothing to me. I'm at a point where it's like, I don't care. Did you get the win? You didn't? Well, guess what? You failed. That's where I'm at. I'm done with this. Well, it's okay. They got a point. No, I'm done with that nonsense. You need wins. Because again, we've said this time and time again. The Blue Jackets missed the playoffs by 1 game. 1 game. Had they won that 1 game, they would have gotten in. Who knows how far they would have gone? Maybe they get knocked out quickly. Maybe they go on a run to like the Stanley Cup final. Because that is hockey. You get into the playoffs, win and get in. Anything can happen. But we'll never know because you missed by 1 game. Had you won that 1 game, you would have gotten in. I do not want to be on a show where we're talking about this, where it's like, well, the Blue Jackets missed the playoffs by 1 game again, and had they won that 1 game, they would have gotten in. I do not want to do that. But the way things are going, there's a good chance that I'm probably going to have to be talking like that. I don't want it, but we got to be honest with ourselves here. If the Blue Jackets keep playing like this, their ass will be on the couch when the season's over. No playoffs. And quite frankly, you keep playing like this, you don't deserve the playoffs. Right now, you're a bunch of bums. That's what you're playing like right now. And it's not good. You need to stop doing that. All that hard work that you put in to build yourself up to where you get to where you are today, fighting for a playoff spot when you were god-awful in last place in the month of January to now where you're in a playoff spot, will mean nothing if you don't get in. And it starts by not pissing away all these winnable games. It needs to stop now. No more losing. You can really only afford to lose maybe like 1 or 2 more games. That's it. It's that bad because you screwed yourself. So I sat in a car for 7 hours for that. So that's cool. So thanks, Blue Jackets. Still love you very much, but I wish you would have won and put in a better effort. So 2 out of 10. Good first period, but everything else was bad. It needs to be better. Unacceptable. 2 out of 10.
Yeah, so that first period was amazing. I don't know that I've ever seen a game where I've rated the first period a 10 out of 10 and the last a 0 out of 10. I don't think I've seen a single game. I'm sure there's some out there, but like holy shit. Marchment getting one back after missing that one. I know he seemed really bummed after missing that empty net goal the other day, or well, it's kind of empty net. It was was a tough one. I don't know that I couldn't have done it. All right, I couldn't have done it. So don't blame. But he got another goal back. After that, Boone Jenner getting the goal, sick. Blue Jackets capitalizing on the power play, amazing, pretty freaking sweet. Let's talk about shots on goal again. Blue Jackets had 13 shots on goal in the first period and held Boston to 8. The second period, Boston had 13 shots on goal and held the Blue Jackets to 5. So not as bad as giving up 18 shots on goal, and no one scored in the second period, luckily. Well, hold up. Let me go back to the first period real quick. Let's talk about these fights. So Fabro roughing Pasternak, 2 minutes unsportsmanlike for Fabro. That was just even penalties early in the game, but we got to see a heavyweight tilt. We had Tanner Jeannot against Eric Goodbranson, and they both got 5 for fighting. It was a very even-keeled fight. It was very back and forth. I do personally think like it was a great fight. Honestly, this was such a solid fight. Seeing these big guys just throw all these punches. I mean, I think Jeannot got the better of Goodbranson a bit. Both men stayed standing. They ended it standing. Goodbranson kind of lost his grip at the end, and he luckily was able to like grab on and do like the boxer, like hug into him, so he wasn't getting just blasted, and kind of ended it that way. So I do think got the better of him a little bit, but it was a great tilt from both of them. Love to see it. Love to see him being even like that. I mean, because once again, the first period, the Blue Jackets are scoring here. Okay, so this is sick. This is good hockey. This is one of my favorite periods of hockey I've seen them play this whole year. 3 goals. Goodbranson fight, which you don't see him tilt as often. And then 6 seconds later, an Olivier fight. Olivier and Kasalik, they both got 5 minutes for fighting. And in this tilt, Olivier, once again, what is he now? 24 now? He definitely got the better of this one. Now they both got hit good. And in fact, Olivier, I believe, was it right after this or was it later on? He went out for he did not return to the game. After being injured. And so, yeah, so I'm not sure. Like Goodbranson, he had been fighting for quite a while. I don't know. I feel like maybe he went under concussion protocol like a year or 2 ago, and like you just never see him do it as much anymore. In any case, he's one of the older guys out there. Like the older I would get, the less I'd want to fight. Just you're risking more injury. You're already risking injury playing hockey, but to fight, there's literally 1 point, and that's to beat the other guy up. So then the Blue Jackets did capitalize on their power play near the end of this the period, which was pretty cool. Let's see, Olivier versus Kastelnik. Second period, nothing. Yeah. Stupid penalty from Provorov for tripping Casey Middlestat. 2 minutes. Killed off. Great. Nothing. Second period, like I said, 13 shots to 5 for the Blue Jackets. You need to get more than 5 shots in a period to score. You're gonna need to. Third period is much of the same. There's 12 shots on goal by Boston and 5 by the Blue Jackets, except for 3 of those 12 shots on goal went in for Boston. So as amazing as the first period was, is as shitty as the third period was for the second game in a row. And it just happens to be a back-to-back game. I do think what was that Cole Sillinger slash was pansy ass call. Like, I'm pretty sure that's the one. That was super stupid, shitty call, which then Boston capitalized on. Like almost instantly, within like 4 or 5 seconds of restarting play, they got a goal off that, and I just don't see it. I don't see it. It's whatever, but you can't rely on the refs to have your back or blame the refs, right? You're still up 3-2. And then Pavel Zacha, 10 seconds left. 10 for 11 seconds left, really. Power play goal. Once again, shitty penalty. Was it a penalty? Yeah. Who did it? Boone Jenner. It sucks. It's like the last guy to that. Shit happens, man. It happens. No penalties in overtime, so it goes to the shootout, which has been a pretty good lock for the Blue Jackets this year. Their shootout numbers have been fantastic. And like what Kevin was saying, Kirill Marchenko, whenever he comes up, whenever it goes into shootout, I'm like, okay, cool. We're probably good. Fantastic job by Greaves. Good try, as best as you could, man. I mean, what are you going to do? Coyle, he is now the Mr. Automatic. He's 3 for 3. Kirill Marchenko, who was Mr. Automatic, is 6 for 8, which is amazing still, 75% of his shots. That's a very talented man who should always be out there. Ken Johnson was not in for this game, so he is 4 for 6 in the shootout. Adam Fantilli is 1 for 7. I'm not entirely sure why he's continuing to be thrown out there.
Yeah.
Just being frank about it, just being honest about it. I'm throwing no shade here, but you're 1 for 7. That, work harder, continue it. I'm sure he's ripping it at practice. I'm sure he's fantastic. He's a phenomenal player. Love having him on the team. But at this point in the season, when you're 1 for 7, how do you keep getting the rock? How do you keep, yeah, you're up. You're the guy. No shade thrown, no offense at all. Especially, Johnson wasn't in here to take that, but Coyle, cool as a cucumber. God, that's so many C's. Charlie Coyle, cool as a cucumber. That totally fine choice. Obviously, he made the shot. He's 3 for 3. He's doing fantastic. Charlie Coyle is, I believe, having a career year quietly. He's absolutely just being a phenom out there. But then, so when you start looking at who else should or could take these shots, and I kind of understand why Fantilli is out there.
Yeah.
Because looking at the points leaders, if we're going to go by points only, Werenski should be out there taking a shot. He's not a forward. But if we're going by points, he's got 16 more points than the guy next to him. If we're going by goals, he has the second most goals on the team. Marchenko has the first. Fantilli's tied for second with the second most goals. So if we're going by goals, if we're going by points, do I think that Werenski is the guy for a shootout? No. He's a fantastic shot. He's amazing at what he does. Do I think he could make one? Absolutely. Do I think that you go with your forwards? You go with your forwards 99% of the time, unless you get into a really long shootout with someone. So,
yeah.
So we have Marchenko and Coyle, the two top scoring forwards, and then the third top scoring forward is Fantilli. So those are the 3 guys that were chosen, and I understand that. The next guy up after Fantilli is Sean Monahan. Monahan is 0 for 1 this year on the shootout attempts. And then after that, we got Boone Jenner, who, he's got quite a few less games than a lot of people. He's got 34 points. I seen someone on Twitter earlier saying how he's a liability to this team.
Okay.
Yes and no. I think he's a amazing fourth liner. I think that he's amazing there. That's like that. I don't think he deserves to be a fourth liner, but that's where he's at, and I think that says something about this team and how good that they've really been doing. So then we have Cole Sillinger, we have Dmitry Voronkov. Those are the next highest scoring forwards, and then we have some defensemen, and then Matthew Olivier. Mason Marchman's down there, but he's only got 32 games with the team, so he's showing up with 25 points for the 30 there. Do I think he should take the shot? No, I don't think so either. I do think that Ken Johnson is the man there in that particular instance. I don't know much about Connor Garland to say much more about him in those circumstances. I feel like he wouldn't do bad. I don't know that he's first choice. I think he's not far down the line, though. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm arguing against myself with this. Like, who else are we gonna throw out there? I mean,
No, Connor Garland, maybe.
right. Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know that he'd be my very first choice, but like, yeah, he wouldn't be a bad choice. It's because at this point we're getting so close to playoff hockey. This week, I was talking about this with Kevin before the show. This is going to be almost a dry run for playoffs. They have to win these games to make it happen at all. They have to win every single game.
Yeah.
So the hopes are still alive, but they got diminished there this last week. So they're gonna have a bit of a taste of the playoffs. They just played the Canes like last week or the week before and won. Now they're gonna play them tomorrow and then on Thursday. So they're gonna be playing the same team within 3 times within like 2.5 weeks. So that gives you a little bit of a feel of like how do we adjust for this next game if we lost? How do we maintain the success if we won? How do we balance these things out? And the intensity is that because they need to win these games so bad that the intensity is going to be that of a playoff game. So we're really going to see what these guys are made of because it seems like when that pressure has gotten too much, like in the third periods, they fold. And if we're cutting this season in 2/3, the final third kind of being mostly bonus here, they're not dying in the final third of the season like they are in the games.
Yeah.
And forget this last week. Shit happens. We rated some of the worst games that we've rated this whole season. But that doesn't really matter right now. What matters is tomorrow, is the Canes tomorrow, the Canes Thursday, and then your next few games coming up as well. That's what matters at this point in time. This is the final test. This is it. This is the final exam. You have 8 games left. You are tied for third in the Metro at 88 points. You have zero room for error from here on out. Final exam, final dissertation. This is for your master's. This is for it all. Because if you know what, like honestly, if they lose these games here and they miss the playoffs, like they were never going to get past the first round. Then that's the way I feel because this is like it's crazy because we saw them come together against the Canes the other week. That was a great game, amazing game. We see them rally. We see them do this.
Yep.
They look great. Sometimes they look like a Stanley Cup contender, not just a team to make it in the playoffs.
Right.
Sometimes, but that consistency is just not there. And unfortunately, without a full season behind them, I mean, I have a question to pose for you. Purely hypothetical. If the Blue Jackets don't make the playoffs, do we keep Rick Bowness?
Yes. Because I do believe that if there's no way to know this for sure, but in my opinion, I do believe that if given the chance, if he was the coach from game 1, we're in the playoffs. No questions asked. We would not have all these third period BS issues and other stupid garbage that has screwed the Blue Jackets this season. That is because of those stupid things that they pissed away so many games that they should have won but didn't for whatever reason. We wouldn't be having that. Now, granted, there's been like 1 or 2 games that have happened where the third period BS still happens under Rick Bowness, but generally speaking, it's not an issue. It's not a thing. And any other BS issues that have screwed the Blue Jackets this season, stupid bonehead mistakes, brain farts, dumb turnovers, for the most part, have been not an issue. No third period BS, generally speaking. You play the way that Rick Bowness wants to play, which is just pressure, play smart defensively, don't turn over the puck in the offensive zone, shoot the puck, grind it out, pressure, go, fast. You play like that, over 82 games, you're good to go. You're in the playoffs. But we didn't have that. We had Dean Evison, which was not entirely his fault. A coach can only do so much. But at the same time, when the same garbage keeps happening again and again and again, it's a lot easier to get rid of the coach than it is the players. So I am of the belief that it is my opinion that Rick Bowness is with the Blue Jackets next season. And if we do that, I feel pretty good about that. And you make a move here and two, and we'll be in the playoffs if we don't make it this season, which I hope we do make the playoffs. But I do believe that, if given the chance, Rick Bowness will be with us next season, and we will be in a way much better position. And last thing I'll say, then we'll get you in here, Hefty Duck, is that there's only been one time in the Blue Jackets history where they made the playoffs where they didn't have to fight for it till towards the end of the season. That was the 2016-2017 season. Why? Because they went on a heater. They won 16 games in a row. That set them up for some success and gave them a little extra cushion so that even if they played a bad game or two, it sucked that you lost that game, but it's not as bad because of that 16-game winning streak, you gave yourself a little extra cushion that you didn't have to worry about, like, crap, we have to win this game or else. Like, no, that wasn't there that season. It's like, yeah, it sucks you lost that game, but because of that 16-game winning streak, you had a little extra cushion that you didn't have to worry about that. The Blue Jackets got a playoff spot that season, like the second week of March. It was like second or third week of March. That was it. And then after that, you're just playing out the rest of the games of the season and just getting to the playoffs. They didn't really have to worry about anything after that because you had your playoff spot. But that's it. Every other time, the Blue Jackets, historically, for whatever reason, make it hard on themselves and have to fight for every game and get in at like the last possible moment. It happened the first time they made the playoffs, 2008, 2009. It happened 2013, 2014 when they made the playoffs. 2017, 2018, it happened like that, where they basically had to fight to like the second to last game to get in. The following year, the 2018, 2019 season, they had to get in on the second to last game of the season where they won in a shootout in New York against the Rangers to get in. And then the following season, 2019-2020, when they get in and they beat Toronto, the way that season, now obviously coronavirus happens and that kills that season because whatever games you would have played, you didn't get to play those games, and then they just started the playoffs. But the way that season was going, the Blue Jackets again were making it hard on themselves, and they had the eighth and they were in the eighth seed, final spot in the wild card, 81 points, and again, like every other time, minus 2016, 2017, they were making it hard on themselves. I just don't understand why it's like that, but it is what it is. And again, last season, what happened? They didn't get in, but again, they made it hard on themselves, trying to go, win every game you can, go on that heater. And again, this season, you get into a spot, you play a good game to where you're good enough to where you get into second place in the division. You keep going there, and then you don't have to worry about anything. But what do? You screw up. You piss away games that you should win, but you don't. And now you're back in the same spot where you're making it harder on yourself again, to where it's like, now you're like, oh crap, I hope that we win this game and other teams lose. That's not a good strategy, not very reliable. Sometimes it works, but for the most part, it doesn't. And you make yourself hard again. Make it hard on yourself again. It would be nice if the Blue Jackets could just do what they did like in 2016, 2017, and make it easier on yourself so that you don't have to worry about this. So I hope they make the playoffs, and I'm going on a little rant here, but I hope that they get in, and that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I do too. And it's you're right about we talked about this at the beginning of the year. I mean, if I felt like expending the time and energy, we could go back through and we could look at probably in November. I think near the end of November, there's like a 4 or 5 game losing streak that we were like, these are the games come April that you're going to be kicking yourself that you lost this many in a row.
Yep.
These are the games that early on in the season, those are the ones that you should have had. All those ones they pissed away in the third period. Every single one. It's not like it sucks that it's coming down to like last year. It came down to like one game. It doesn't have to be like that.
Nope.
It could not have been like that. We have there is no free games. Not a single free game in the 82 game season. You don't get a break. You can't take a break. You think Colorado's taking a break? Dallas?
No.
No.
Not
No, they
Minnesota
have
either.
had to do what they've had to do to get where they're going, and that's
Yeah.
we talked about like, oh my god, these games are going to come bite us back in the ass here in April, and here we are in April with those games biting us in the ass. And it's hard to not get a little bit frustrated because we're seeing the little dollar dangle in front of our nose, a little carrot in front of the donkey, and we're biting for it, and it keeps getting pulled further and further away. But I do believe the percentage is greater than 50. It's much greater than 0. This schedule they got is tough. They have to lock in. They have to forget this week. They have to forget their losses. That's one of the hardest things to do, especially this time of year with this amount of pressure. But if they don't turn this around, or if they don't finish strong and make it, then I'm not saying they don't deserve to be there, but what I'm saying is they wouldn't have made it anyway. I said this earlier. Like, they wouldn't make it anyway if they're going to lose out here. What's the point of even playing that, of even going on the dance? So I have another hypothetical question for you. We're getting close to time here for me anyway. Where if the playoffs aren't made, there's some major UFAs on the team right now. If the playoffs are not made, does Boone Jenner come back as a captain?
No.
I'm pulling this out of thin air.
No.
I don't think so either.
No. Because, look, I love Boone Jenner very much. He's been an awesome player for the Blue Jackets. He's spent his entire career here, almost 20 years. He just played his
800 the other night. That's no other Blue Jackets has done that.
Yeah, he just made Blue Jackets history. He's done something that no one else can say in Blue Jackets history, which is play all 800 of your games that you played in the National Hockey League with the Blue Jackets. No one else but Boone Jenner can say that. Like, the dude, other than like Rick Nash and maybe like one or two other guys, is legitimately Mr. Blue Jacket.
His initials are literally CBJ, Captain Boone Jenner. It stands for two things: Columbus Blue Jackets and Captain Boone Jenner.
Yes.
He is Mr. CBJ.
Yes. He's done everything for you. Awesome player. Offense, defense, power play, penalty killing, block shots. He's good at face-offs. He's done everything that you could have wanted from a player. Statistically, he's like top 5 and like goals and like assists and points and block shots and a whole bunch of other stuff. Everything that you could have wanted from Boone Jenner, you got it. But at the same time, you're not going to be with the Blue Jackets forever. Eventually, you have to leave. It happened to Rick Nash. It happened to Cam Atkinson. It happened to David Savard. It happened to Nick Foligno. All these guys that have been awesome players for the Blue Jackets, eventually their time was up. And we are slowly getting to a point to where that will be Boone Jenner too. It could be this season, it could be next season, but we're getting there. We're getting there. And another thing we have to consider is this. Boone Jenner for hockey is getting up there in age, especially the way that he plays. He's big, he's physical, he grinds it out, he blocks shots. He's a guy that toughs it out, plays through injuries when probably he shouldn't, but he does it anyways. You know, those tough board battles along the boards. You win those puck battles, those are tough. You get banged up there, and he gets hurt, and he's missed some games because of injuries. That adds up over time. And then you add in the fact that he's in his 30s there, in his 30s. And he's starting to get up there. And there's no, Boone Jenner, he could have a career where he could wake up tomorrow and he's done, in part because of the way he plays. Or he could wake up and he could have a career to he's 42. Because we just don't know. Because that's how it is. Because you start getting up in the 30s, it's like, I don't know. You could be done tomorrow, or you could keep going and have a nice career. We just don't know. Injuries too, and we just don't know. And then on top of that, this is another thing too, is, let's be honest here, the Blue Jackets have gotten Boone Jenner for dirt cheap, for a bargain.
For a long time.
He should be making way more than what he's making right now. He's just making $3.75 million, just under $4 million. The way he's playing, he should be getting way more than that. But the Blue Jackets have gotten him dirt cheap. Bargain. There is no guarantee that he would take that contract again. The Blue Jackets may have to look at that and say, we want to keep you, but you're getting a little too expensive. We can't afford you because we have to save money for Kent Johnson or, Zach Werenski. He's going to have a new deal coming up. We're going to need him. Adam Fantilli, we're going to need him. He's coming up pretty quick here. Eventually, Kirill Marchenko is going to need a new deal. You're probably going to want to sign Mason Marchman and Charlie Coyle.
Charlie Coyle, for sure.
So,
even though Charlie Coyle's older than Boone Jenner.
But so it's like that money's got to come from somewhere. So it may just come to a point to where it's like, I love you, Boone Jenner. Thanks for everything, but sorry, we may have to move on from you. And that's just how it is, unfortunately.
I think this one's going to be even a little bit more painful than Nick Foligno because it's inevitable. No one can play forever.
Yep.
I'm personally a little amazed at the career that Nick Foligno has made elsewhere in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. I mean, I was just expecting, I guess, him to not play as long. I don't know, because now he's playing with his brother over for the Wild, which is really cool. That's another guy who I always have a lot of love for. Did a lot of great things here in Columbus. The fact of the matter is that's everything you said. He's getting older. And the last season he played 26 games, if that, because of injury. And the season before that he played 50 some games because of injury. Even though he's done really well this season with it, he's a family man. He's got family to take care of as well, and you want to be healthy for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, in any case, like I said, I'm kind of throwing that hypothetical out there just to throw it out there. But we're having to look at the situation realistically now as the possibility of knocking into the playoffs when we were all but thought we were.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I feel like I'm in a familiar place as a Ohio sports fan, though. I really do. Like,
Yeah.
this is pissing me the fuck off, but like, at least baseball's back on.
That's right,
Shit, I'm
baby.
kidding. I
Let's
joked about that earlier
go.
too. I was like,
Right.
dude, I haven't been watching as much spring training and stuff this year because I've been so preoccupied with the Blue Jackets actually like doing well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I personally don't think they're gonna let us down. I really don't. I think that they're gonna be able to rally around this, do this for the fans, and at least get there for the first round. I really do. Still got 8 games.
So, all right. Well, on to the next thing. We'll just a little quick hits here, and then
Sure.
So, anyways, so the Blue Jackets have called up Luca Del Bel Belluz.
Yeah.
So that is good. He, you know what? Been following him on, seeing what the Monsters have been posting on Twitter all season long, and he's played really good. They have mostly been in a kind of a first line, second line role, center, and he has been really good. And that is great to see. It just seems like just about every time that I see the Monsters post about him, it's like, oh, he scored a goal or he made a nice play to set up a goal. He won a big faceoff. He did this. He did that. And he's one of the top prospects that the Blue Jackets have. So, he's had some moments where he's looked good with the Blue Jackets. He scored some goals and other big moments. It's kind of a consistency thing. And sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. But at the same time, it's like he's a guy that should be playing higher up in the lineup, and the spot just wasn't there for him. Playing third and fourth line minutes, and that doesn't really do him any good. And so now, he gets called up because, well, it looks like you're probably not going to have Matthew Olivier. And, Sean Monahan, you might not have him because, you know what? Credit to Sean Monahan. He's had a wrist injury, and he's playing through it, but you can tell it's really screwing him. He's not as good as he used to be, and he's missed some games because of that. And we have to be realistic with ourselves that there's a good chance that he may miss another game because his wrist injury is too bad. So you need someone like a Luca Del Belluz to step it up. This is your chance. You've shown you can be good with us, but you need to do it consistently. Because the thing is, if you don't do it now, someone else will do it, and then there goes your spot. And you'll probably be stuck with the Monsters, or you'll go somewhere else. And personally, I'm a little bit biased here, but I like to see him do good because I like him as a player, but also I've met him personally. I've talked about this on the show, but this past October, I saw the Monsters play up in Milwaukee. And, shout out to my Wisconsin friends, Dan and Kelly, who have connections to the Admirals. Kelly works for the Admirals, one of the people that cleans off the ice, in break, when play stops and in between periods. And, she was able to work some things. I was able to get on the Zamboni before the game, and that was cool. And then because of her, I was able to go to some spots that other people are normally not allowed to go to. And yes, I got to meet some Monsters players that like Stanislav Svozil, Mikhail Putia, and yes, Luca Del Bel Belluz. I got to meet Luca Del Bel Belluz and talk to him and get a picture with him. And I also got a picture with Stanislav Svozil and Mikhail Putia and talk to him. So that was cool. But so I'm a little bit biased here. I want Luca Del Bel Belluz to do good. So I'm like, hey, I saw his first goal. Hey, I met that guy in person. So I want him to do good. So this is your chance. Take it and see how far you can go.
Yeah, I like Luca Del Bellis a lot. I think he's a fantastic player. I think it speaks to this. We saw him more last year, I believe. It speaks to the level of the Blue Jackets as to how I was thinking about this earlier before I saw this call up and was realizing all the injuries that we're having. There hasn't been as many injuries. There hasn't been as many call ups. There hasn't been the need to because the depth of the Blue Jackets is that to where these guys can go play with their team. Being the Cleveland Monsters. I'm just going to look up something real quick. So the American Hockey League. The Monsters are standing fourth in their division right now at 73 points. That puts them up above. So they're not doing bad. They're not top of the AHL, but they're very far from the bottom. Actually, they're doing really good. Look at the rest of the numbers. Holy shit. So Cleveland Monsters has been doing good. When the team is doing better and the injuries aren't happening, those of us who aren't in Cleveland probably don't pay as much attention to the Monsters because there's a lot going on here and things are going good. But this is one of those guys who you can plug and play. Especially when we're looking at like having Boone Jenner on like the fourth line, like we can bring some guys up here and there for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing him play. I think that, I hope he can break that lineup and get to the NHL in the next few years, because this is another thing too. You lose someone like a Boone Jenner or a Sean Monahan or something like that. Who knows after the season what? And you don't necessarily have to get somebody. You might have somebody there on the wings, ready to come up. And not saying that this is that guy, but saying he could be. He very well could be. I haven't seen his stats this year. I want to take a quick look at elite prospects for that. And what a hell of a name, Dell. They call him what, LDBB or something like that. Yeah. LDB, I don't know. But young kid. He's 23 years old. He was born in 03. 22, 23, something like that. So far this year for the Cleveland Monsters, so he's actually played 13 games this year for the Blue Jackets already. And in those 13 games, he got 1 assist, 4 penalty minutes, and was -2. But for the Monsters, he has 53 games played, 22 goals, 35 assists for 57 points. 57 points in 53 games. Granted, it's not the NHL, but that's really good. I mean, we're looking at and this is why I say I hope he can break into the NHL, is because we watch someone like Trey Fix-Wolansky, who was the top scorer in really good player for the Monsters in the AHL, and just couldn't quite sustain that into the NHL. And I think we've seen him. He got traded to the Checkers, the Charlotte Checkers, or
I forget where he went. He's with the Rangers for minor league team.
Okay, yeah. And so talented guy. I wish I could have seen him really break that lineup too, and that's all. Like I would look at Del Bellis is good enough to the point where like I would definitely be very sad to see him stuck in the minors. But then once again, this speaks to the depth and the level of the Blue Jackets this year. Yep. And having those guys on the wing. I mean, they healthy scratched Kent Johnson the other night. There's guys. So, but we can get multiple guys at a time. So they've only called up one guy when SIBO could be out too.
Yeah.
And they didn't call up a defenseman yet. So let's knock on wood here. Let's knock on wood, because Severson, Olivier, those are some pretty important guys to this team right now. And we need those wins. So
another thing I'd say is that because there's been generally speaking, no injuries, why it's allowed guys like Luca Del Bellis and other top prospects to just stay down there and play and get good development, get first line, second line minutes. That's going to be so beneficial. it's so big that if you can have your guys just stay down there for like 1 to 3 seasons, and then they're good to go and they're ready to go, instead of this like up and down, like that does no good for their development. It just doesn't. You want them to play so good in down in the minor leagues for like a season or two that you want them that there's no possible way that you could send them back down. Like, okay, they're ready. He's ready to go. We're not going to send him back down. And not having all these injuries has been so beneficial to that, where you can have a guy like a Luca Del Bel Belluz, one of your top prospects, just stay down in Cleveland and just play games and get better and help out your development so that when the time comes, he'll be ready to go.
Yeah, no, that's a real thing, because I sometimes wonder if no, I don't, because he's doing great. Never mind. I was going to talk a little bit of shade about Chinikov, but he's doing fine. There was a couple other guys there. I mean, I know Kent Johnson was getting pissed that he was getting sent down and back or whatever, and without having those years with all those injuries and all in kind of shitty seasons, would he have played more for the Monsters? Yeah, he definitely would have.
Yeah.
And it's too early to say anything about it. Kent Johnson's an amazing player, but we talked about that when he was getting sent down and back. Just give him a little bit of time to develop, and let him cook a little bit, so to speak. But hopefully, Luca can help us out with the help the boys out with the end of the year here. But yeah, it is 9:00 p.m. Eastern my time, so I must be heading out of here. But Kevin will take it away here with a little bit of Ohio State and college hockey stuff, and I will be with you.
Hit the correct button, Hefty Duck. Hit the correct button.
I absolutely will. All right. Hey, great podcast, Kevin, as always. Thank y'all. Check me out on Instagram at Lance Shock Tattoos. Like, share, subscribe everywhere, and tell your friends, tell your family, tell your friends' family. Let them know you're weird. All right. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Hit the correct button.
Leave studio. All right.
Hit the correct button. Okay, good. He hit the correct button. That's good. All right. So, got some stuff to talk about, and then I'm going to finish it up, and I'm going to get out of here. So, first things first. I'm going to talk about how did Ohio State do in hockey against every Big Ten team this season. Starting off, Ohio State played Michigan. They played 5 games, and they went 0-5, which is really bad. Really bad, but it's not surprising. Ohio State, generally speaking, is not really a hockey school. They don't care about hockey. They're average at best. They don't produce top talent. The shot's awful. They historically don't really have very good seasons, average at best. If they're lucky, maybe they'll make the NCAA tournament. Maybe they'll make a run to the Frozen Four. That's Ohio State hockey. So I'm not surprised that in 5 games against Michigan, they went 0-5. Michigan, historically, is the best of the best when it comes to hockey. Consistently good, producing top talent. They have national championships, NCAA tournament appearances, Frozen Fours. They have Hobie Baker Award winners, which is the Heisman Trophy for hockey. They, produce top talent like a Dylan Larkin, a Kyle Connor, a Quinn Hughes. They had, Jack Johnson was good for the Blue Jackets, and Kent Johnson, Adam Fantilli, who won the Hobie Baker Award, Zach Werenski, all have been good players that have came out of Michigan, and obviously the Blue Jackets have benefited from Michigan being good at hockey because some of our best players are Michigan guys. Kent Johnson, Jack Johnson had a good career for the Blue Jackets. Adam Fantilli has been good for the Blue Jackets. Zach Werenski, good for the Blue Jackets. Awesome player. So, yes, I am not surprised that Ohio State went 0-5 against Michigan in hockey, including 2 games where you get smoked 7-3 by 4 goals and a game where you get smoked 8-1. Both those games were at Michigan. And then you had a series at Michigan this season where you got smoked in 2 games by a combined score of 13-3. So it's not surprising that Ohio State sucks against Michigan in hockey. It's not surprising that Ohio State struggled against Michigan in hockey. They got them in football, though, which is good. They beat them 27-9, so that's good. But when it comes to hockey, Ohio State, not very good. They struggled. So, not surprising. Next up, this is not good. Ohio State went 1-3 versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame was last place in the Big Ten this season. They went 5-20 in the Big Ten. Like, Ohio State, what are you doing here? Like, you should not be going 1-3 against the last place team in the Big Ten. You shouldn't. You should not. You have the talent to be better than that. If anything, you should be the one that's 3-1 at minimum against Notre Dame this season. But it didn't work out like that. And one of those losses was awful. You got smoked 6-1 at Notre Dame. That's not good. That's unacceptable. You can't do that. Like, that's bad. 3 of the 5 wins that Notre Dame had in the Big Ten this season came against Ohio State. That's not good. Ohio State, you should not be going 1-3 against the last place team in the Big Ten. But you did. So maybe next season will be better. However, though, Ohio State, they went 3-1 against Minnesota. That was your best. Ohio State went 3-1 against the Golden Gophers, which is very surprising. You would think it'd be the other way. Because again, Minnesota is historically good at hockey. They are one of the powerhouses, the big dogs, one of the big names in college hockey, where, again, they're consistently good. They have national championships. They have NCAA tournament appearances. They have Frozen Four appearances. Hobie Baker Award winners. And again, the talent they produce is just, wow, really good. Most recently, Brock Faber, stud defenseman for the Minnesota Wild, and also played on the USA Olympic hockey team. So, if anything, this is a team that Ohio State should have struggled against. They should have gotten smoked, but they didn't. In the 4 games, they took 3 out of 4. They went 3-1. So for this is a good job, Ohio State. Good for you. You overachieved on this one. You went 3-1 against Minnesota when you shouldn't have, but you did it anyways. So that's good. Now, in 5 games, Ohio State went 3-2 against Wisconsin. And again, this is overachieving. Because again, Wisconsin is historically good at hockey. They have 6 national championships, NCAA tournament appearances, Frozen Four appearances, and they produce really good hockey players. So again, like Minnesota, this is probably a series that you should have lost. But you didn't. You played 5 games and you won the series. You went 3-2. So that's good. So good on you, Ohio State. And again, Ohio State hockey probably should have lost this series against Michigan State because, again, Ohio State is historically not good at hockey, and historically, Michigan State is more of a hockey school. So there's a theme here. Like with Ohio State this season, they get smoked by Michigan. They lose to last place Notre Dame when they shouldn't, but do it anyways. But they beat the teams that they have no business beating. Teams that they should not be beating, but they do it anyways. Like Minnesota, like Wisconsin, like Michigan State. Because in the 5 games here, Ohio State went 3-2 against Michigan State. So you overachieved there. So good for you, Ohio State. Good on you. That was cool. So good for you. And, you got smoked by Penn State. You went 0-4, including the game where you got smoked 11-4. You lost by 7 goals. It was the Gavin McKenna / Jackson Smith show. They just cooked your ass. Really bad. So, and then you had a game where you're winning 4-1, you blew it, you lost 5-4 in overtime. So, not good. Not good. But then at the same time, that was kind of expected because Penn State was really, really good this year. They made the NCAA tournament. And again, they care more about hockey now than Ohio State does because they put in the time and effort and the money and the resources to get better at hockey. They have Pajula Ice Rink, which is funded by the owner of the Buffalo Sabres and Buffalo Bills, because he's a big Penn State guy. And because of that and other things, Penn State now has an awesome hockey rink that is world class, and it's one of the best in college hockey. It's a reason why they're doing better, and it's also a reason why you get, Gavin McKenna to come, who's projected to be the top pick in the upcoming NHL draft in June, and you get Blue Jackets prospect Jackson Smith to come, who was one of the best defenseman prospects in last year's draft. And then Penn State this past season, they're coming off a run to the Frozen Four. So it's not surprising that Penn State is better at hockey now. And that trend will continue because they've made the decision to put in the time and the effort and the money and other resources into hockey to show that you care. And when you do that, you're going to get rewarded. You will get better players to come. You will get a better hockey rink. You will get a trip to the Frozen Four. And then players like Jackson Smith and Gavin McKenna see that, and they want to come to Penn State. And, years from now, if, Gavin McKenna does good and if Jackson Smith does good, people will see that and say, oh, my God, they went to Penn State. That's cool. Well, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. And that's where Penn State is at right now. That's not where Ohio State is right now. They just don't care about hockey. And that's just the truth. Because if they cared about hockey, they would have upgraded their hockey program a long time ago. They would have put in more money, more resources, better hockey rink, not the Shot or that old outdated Pee Wee rink that was built in 1961 that the women have played in. They would have done something about that, but they don't because they don't care about hockey. They just don't. And that's just how it is. You know? So that is just how it is. So if Ohio State put more effort into hockey, you wouldn't have any of this sort of stuff. But you do. You just do. So, last couple things I'm going to talk about here. Of course, I was in Columbus recently, and I was talking to one of my Columbus friends, Jason Newland, for the hockey writers, or the hockey news. It's one of those two. I always get it mixed up. But he writes, does Blue Jackets articles. He gets to go to games, cover the Blue Jackets, stuff like that. And I saw him at our bar before the game on this past Sunday. And we're talking to him about a whole bunch of stuff about the Blue Jackets and Ohio State hockey and a whole bunch of other stuff. And because he was on the show before and talked to him about how Ohio State basically, they have this plan about how the men stay at the Shot and then they build a new rink for the women. And it's like, well, that doesn't really fix the issue. It doesn't. And Jason agreed with me then, with me there, because it doesn't. You still have the same issue. The men are still stuck in the Shot, which is a god-awful building. No one likes it. It's way too big for hockey. It's way too big for basketball. And people say, well, it's good for concerts. Well, that's not even necessarily good for that because it kind of gets the sloppy seconds. It's not even the first choice for hockey. Because Blue Jackets. But it's not even the first choice for concerts in Columbus. If you're good at music and you have your own band and you want to do a concert in Columbus, you're going to Nationwide Arena where the Blue Jackets are. That's your first choice. And if you can't get that, then you get the Shot. And that's just how it is. October 2024, when 21 Pilots had a concert in Columbus, where did they go? Nationwide Arena. Because Nationwide Arena is the way better place to be. It's better for hockey. Blue Jackets games are awesome. Basketball games have been played there. It's way better for that. Concerts have been there. It's way better for that. You've had all sorts of other types of conventions there, from political and, whole bunch of other stuff. And it's way better for that compared to the Shot. Like, Nationwide Arena is the building to be. You have a big time event in Columbus, guess what? You're going to Nationwide Arena. You're not going to the Shot. So, this plan that Ohio State has, where, we'll just keep Ohio State men's hockey in the Shot, and, we can have the women over in, a new hockey rink, is stupid, idiotic, and unacceptable. It does not fix the issue. You do that, and you are still, behind your Big Ten competition. Because look around you, Ohio State. Look around you. Everyone else is upgrading their hockey program. More resources, more money, better hockey rinks, which means they get better players, which means recruiting is easier, which means NIL is easier. It's a lot easier when you care about something and you put in the effort because it's not there. It's just not. You are Ohio State hockey, and even other sports in general, not named football at Ohio State, are basically given nothing. Here's like $2 and a McDonald's coupon. Try and get a good team. Oh, wait, you really can't. No, you can't really do it with very limited resources. Maybe you'll go dumpster diving and do the best that you can with the limited resources that you have. Metaphorically speaking, being the $2 and a McDonald's coupon. Because that's essentially what you're doing to any Ohio State sport that's not football. I get it, you're good at football, it's cool, but it's not good enough anymore to just be a football-only school. Other schools they're good at football, but they're putting effort into other sports. And that's just how it is. Michigan is a perfect example of this. They're consistently good at football, consistently good at hockey, and their basketball team is good now. Last 2 seasons, they've had some good seasons. They've won the Big Ten. They made the NCAA tournament. And what do you know? Michigan basketball's in the Final Four. One of 2 Big Ten teams, Illinois being the other Big Ten team. But like that right there, that is a perfect example of what happens when you care about other sports. You can still be good at football. You can still put all the time and effort and money and blood, sweat, and tears and everything else that you want into football, like Ohio State is, and you can still be good at other sports. You can do it. You can do it. It's very possible. But you got to put in the work and the effort and the blood, sweat, and tears, metaphorically speaking. You got to put in the work. You have to want to do it. And historically, Ohio State does not want to do it. Because I see people complain about it. Oh, I wish the basketball team was better. I wish they'd have more resources or more money or this or that. Or I wish for baseball or hockey, like Hefty Duck and I have done on the show. And I've done it on Twitter. But that's just not what Ohio State is. And it will continue to be like that unless they change. And there's no reason to think that they will change. Because you keep hearing about it like, well, they might get an arena. They might. You hear about it in the news or in the rumors. Well, they're supposed to get a new hockey arena. And then they get nothing. And nothing happens. And at some point, it's like, dude, you're either going to get it or not. And the way things are going historically, it's going in the direction of you're not going to get it. So at some point, you need to pick one. You're either going to do it or you're either not going to do it. Pick one. Which one is it going to be, Ohio State? Because you're sending mixed messages. Because we've talked about this on the show. I covered this. Where Ohio State has a website where they specifically outline that they need a new hockey rink for both the men and the women. Like, Ohio State knows this. They know that they have to be better. They do. They know that they have to be better. They know what they have for hockey is awful and old and outdated. They know that having the Ohio State women's hockey team play at an old, outdated peewee rink that was built in 1961 is bad. It's not good enough because the Ohio State women's hockey team is consistently good now. They've played in 5 national championships. They've won 2 of them. And they just got done playing in another national championship game. Like, they deserve it. Like, that's the only thing that's really holding them back. They're a 9 out of 10 right now. They could be 10 out of 10 if they had a better hockey arena. And that's the truth. And I talked about it on the show before. But Ohio State, you got lucky there. Nadine Muzzrell, in my opinion, is doing you a favor. Because when that Minnesota Golden Gophers job opened up, a very good chance that you would have been screwed there. Because Nadine Muzzrell played at Minnesota. And Minnesota could do something that Ohio State can't. They could go to her and say, hey, come back, coach for us. You played here. Come home. We care way more about hockey than Ohio State does. You will have an awesome hockey arena. You won't have to play in an old, outdated hockey rink built in 1961. That's basically a peewee rink. And you will have actual hockey resources. You won't have to, metaphorically speaking, go dumpster diving and have like $2 and a McDonald's coupon. You'll actually have actual resources. But instead, Ohio State got lucky, and Nadine Muzzrell stayed with Ohio State. And Ohio State gave her a new contract. They got lucky. In my opinion, Nadine Muzzrell is doing Ohio State a favor. You won't be so lucky next time. Because if you're still in that same spot where you have no good hockey arena, no upgraded program, with no more money, you don't have any more money, you do not have any more resources, you won't be so lucky next time. I won't be surprised if next time Nadine Muzzrell is like, screw it, I'm going to Minnesota, I'm going to Wisconsin or Michigan or some other school that actually cares about hockey. So now's the time to step up your game, Ohio State. Now is the time. Don't screw this up, because you will go back to nothing if Nadine Muzzrell leaves, because that's where you were. When it comes to women's hockey, you were nothing before Nadine Muzzrell. Nothing. You were nothing. And Nadine Muzzrell saved your ass and brought you to where you are today, where you're consistently good, playing in national championship games and winning 2 of them. So step up your game, or else. Do it now, or else. And then another thing that Jason told me when I was talking to him at the R Bar, that according to his sources that he was talking to at Ohio State, that the men are okay with playing at the shot. Like, you find you can have that feeling, but I question that. What are you doing? What are you doing? You know you could do way better than that. You want to be consistently good at hockey. You want to take it to the next level. Guess what? You need a new hockey rink. You need more money. You need more resources. And I trust Jason, so at least according to him, Ohio State men are okay with playing in the shot. And to that I say, you're wrong, and I think you're stupid and idiotic. And have fun being average at best. Have fun with that. Have fun that you're really not going to go anywhere. Because the shot is holding you back. To the players of the Ohio State men's hockey team. Okay? It's okay for you to say that you're okay with the shot. But understand that that's just what you'll be. You'll be okay. Maybe you'll get lucky and you'll have a good season. You'll get to the NCAA tournament. Or maybe you'll get lucky and you'll make a run to the Frozen Four. But that's as far as you'll go. Unless you want to get better, then you'll ask for a new hockey rink. The women have. Nadine Musrell has called it out. She does not like where the women play. So it's your choice. You can just be stuck and just average at best, mid, where you probably won't go anywhere, generally speaking. Maybe if you get lucky, you'll have a good season, make the NCAA tournament, make the Frozen Four. Or you can have better expectations for yourself. You get a better hockey rink, you'll get better players, you'll get a better team, and you will be better, which means you'll have better seasons. I mean, you have better chances to make the NCAA tournament consistently, which means you have a better chance to go to the Frozen Four. Maybe you can win a national championship. Maybe you can actually win the Big Ten tournament. You've won the Big Ten regular season in 2019, but you've yet to win the Big Ten championship game in the Big Ten hockey tournament. But that only happens unless you ask for more. And from what I've talked to Jason about, you don't want that. And to me, in my opinion, that's very stupid and idiotic. And you're just going to be average. Have fun with that, I guess. That's all I have to say about that. So, and I take that back. One last thing about this is, another thing is, the shot's it's an awful place to see a game, and you don't get big crowds. You're basically playing in front of nothing. So that adds to it. If you had a good hockey rink, you could play in an actual good crowd. But also, if you had a good hockey rink, you do better, and then more people would talk about you. You get more people to come to your game. Then Ohio State might actually promote you, because let's be honest here, they don't. They don't really promote Ohio State hockey or any sports not named football in general, especially hockey. I know more about hockey, Ohio State hockey, because of the Blue Jackets. Like, good on you, Blue Jackets, for doing that, for promoting Ohio State hockey, but that's not who you are. That's not what you should be doing. You should not have to be doing that. You are the Blue Jackets. Your main focus is focusing on the Blue Jackets and promoting Blue Jackets hockey. Hey, get your tickets. Come see the Blue Jackets play. BlueJackets.com. Get your tickets, or call whatever phone number they have you can call to get tickets. That's what they should be doing, and they are doing that. But they should not have to be doing Ohio State's job for them by promoting Ohio State hockey when Ohio State really can't be bothered to do that. Like, good on you, Blue Jackets, for doing that. I think that's cool that you're doing that you are getting out there and putting in the work to promote Ohio State hockey. But that's not your main focus. You should not be doing that. You should not be doing that for Ohio State. You should not be putting in the work for Ohio State as your main priority. Ohio State should be putting in the work to promote Ohio State hockey, because it's their team. It's not the Blue Jackets team. It's Ohio State's team. Ohio State needs to promote Ohio State hockey more than the Blue Jackets do. So I know more about Blue Jackets. No, I know more about Ohio State hockey because of the Blue Jackets. So that's just how it is. So that's all I have to say about that. So last couple things here, and then I'm going to get out of here. So the Frozen Four for college hockey for the men has been set. We have Michigan against North Dakota. We have Denver University against Wisconsin. So we have two Big Ten teams that have made it to the Frozen Four this season. We have Wisconsin and we have Michigan. And not surprising that that happened. Wisconsin and Michigan are two schools that are historically good at hockey. You know, national championships and Frozen Four appearances and Hobie Baker Award winners, which is the Heisman Trophy for college hockey, and producing top players. Like I said earlier on the show, like Michigan gives the Blue Jackets like Jack Johnson and Adam Fantilli, Kent Johnson, Zach Werenski. You know, Wisconsin had Joe Pavelski and a bunch of other good guys. Well, like, yeah, it's not surprising that two schools that are historically good at hockey made it to the Frozen Four this season. Also, Michigan State and Penn State also made the NCAA tournament, but they got knocked out. So only two teams left in the Big Ten representing the Big Ten in the Frozen Four: Wisconsin and Michigan. So I think it's this upcoming Thursday and Saturday. Let's look this up. When is the Frozen Four? It's out in Las Vegas. So let's look this up. Let's see here. Okay, so April 9th. When is that? When is that? Let's look at this. Okay, so the Frozen Four, we'll put this up on the screen, is the Frozen Four will be Thursday, April 9th, 2026, where Wisconsin will play North Dakota and Michigan will play Denver. And then Saturday, April 11th, 2026, will be the national championship game. So whoever wins Wisconsin, North Dakota, and Michigan, Denver will play in the national championship game. So there it is. So there is your Frozen Four. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes and who wins this. If a Big Ten team, so Michigan or Wisconsin in this case, wins it, I'll talk about it. If not, I'm probably not going to talk about it. That's just how it is. More of a Big Ten kind of a guy. So there's that. Sticking with the whole Big Ten hockey theme is that we'll put this up on the screen. So, Blue Jackets prospect Jackson Smith, who plays at Penn State, the news has come out that he's going to go back to Penn State for another year. So he was a freshman at Penn State. It was his first year. He played really good at Penn State. He set a record for most goals scored by a defenseman in Penn State history. Played really good on Penn State, and he's going to come back and play at Penn State for one more year. So that's cool. So that'll be good to see how he does in his second year. He had a real good first season. It'll be interesting to see how he does in his second season. And I've had this feeling too that he's probably going to follow the same path that Zach Werenski did, which is Zach Werenski played two seasons at Michigan. Then he played for the Monsters, and he was a big reason why the Monsters won the Calder Cup in 2016. They went on a heater there. And then the next season, Zach Werenski made the Blue Jackets out of training camp. So if I had to take a guess, I would say that Jackson Smith probably follows something similar to what Zach Werenski did, which is you play 2 seasons at your respective school. So Zach Werenski played 2 seasons at Michigan, then played for the Monsters, then the Blue Jackets. It's a similar idea here for Jackson Smith, where what I think he's going to do, which is he's going to play 2 seasons at Penn State, then go play for the Monsters, and then eventually go play for the Blue Jackets. That's what I think is probably going to happen. No guarantee, but if I had to take a guess, that's what I think is probably going to happen. Let's see here. So I'm going to check my bookmarks to see. I'm going to pull this off the screen here. I'm going to check my bookmarks to see if I have anything else to talk about. Otherwise, I'll say my final things, and then we'll get out of here. Let's see here. Oh, okay. We'll put this up on the screen here. We'll put this up on the screen. So, of course, Caden Lindstrom, Blue Jackets prospect. Caden Lindstrom, who plays for Michigan State, was also in the NCAA tournament because Michigan State made the NCAA tournament. And here we have a video from Drop the Mitts Hockey on Twitter, who was at the game when Michigan State played UConn. And here we have a video of Caden Lindstrom in warm-ups for Michigan State. So we're going to play this video. Music, and cut that off. I'm going to cut off that music. Do not want that. So we'll play this one more time. There he is, skating around. Kind of shooting the puck, warming up. All right, so that's that. That is a cool little video from Michigan State's game against UConn, featuring Blue Jackets prospect Caden Lindstrom. And we'll check to see if there's anything else in my bookmarks. Let's see here. Oh, you know what? We'll put this up on the screen here. Let's see. Put this up on the screen. Here we have John Butchergrass. Big names in hockey. Big hockey guy. Very smart guy when it comes to hockey. Here he is with Blue Jackets prospect William Whitelaw, who plays for Western Michigan. And he says, Loveland Regional, William Whitelaw, Western Michigan. He really popped this year. 19 goals in 17 games at Blue Jackets NHL draft pick. Future Connor Garland, ? And here he is talking to him.
All right, William Whitelaw here of Western Michigan. Why'd you choose Western Michigan?
Yeah, I mean it's the best place to play. Honestly, the Lunatics are unbelievable, our fan base, and you can't get a better coach than Coach Frischweiler. He's the best.
Wisconsin, Michigan, Western Michigan, 3 teams in 3 years. Do you have commitment issues?
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I played at Shattuck for 4 years, could have left and went to tender in the USHL, but I loved it there. And I think similar feeling for me here. I mean, I just think you get one chance to play in the NHL, and I think Coach Frischweiler gives you the best chance to do that.
Columbus Blue Jacket draft pick?
Yeah.
You talk with them. I'm sure it's tempting to turn pro. You thinking one more year of college?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a decision I'll worry about after this season with my agent, family, and coaches. But yeah, I mean, I love Western. There's no reason to leave this place. It's unbelievable.
Pretty nice fit you got working here, kid.
Oh yeah, no, it's a new tracksuit, so let's go.
Let's go. All right, William White.
So there we have John Butchergrass with the Blue Jackets prospect William Whitelaw. Now, like you said, he did play for Wisconsin and Michigan, and now it's Western Michigan. I did see him play for Michigan when Michigan was in town against Ohio State. And, of course, that was the day before the Blue Jackets outdoor game. And, Michigan won that game 4-3. But William Whitelaw played a real good game there. He did get a goal there. And he could have had more. He didn't, but he could have had more because this dude is a shooter. He is a shooter. He can really shoot the puck. A couple of times that he was left wide open, and that was not a good idea. And he could have had more. He had some real good chances. Could have had at least 2 or 3 goals that game that I went to. But he can shoot the puck. He's a smaller dude, but he can really shoot it. I look at, Connor Garland, I think that's a good comparison, but I also look at him at maybe like a Cam Atkinson kind of a guy. Cam Atkinson was a smaller dude, but he could really shoot the puck. Cam Atkinson was a guy that could consistently get you at least 20 to 30 goals. He even had a 35-goal season during the 2016-2017 season. He also had a 41-goal season during the 2018-2019 season. So in my opinion, when I see William Whitelaw play, whether that game at Michigan-Ohio State at the Shot, or I see highlights of him when Western Michigan posts stuff of him, he's a really, really good shooter, in my opinion. I see like a Cam Atkinson kind of a guy, in my opinion. So he could be something to look out for eventually if, when his time comes for the Blue Jackets. So let's see here. Again, one last time, we're going to take it off the screen, look through the bookmarks, see if we have anything else to show. Let's see here. Put this one up here. Put it up. So this is a hockey graphic from, what does that say? From Data Driver Hockey. From Data Driver Hockey. So according to their analytics, who is the best team when it comes to goals for on 5-on-5? And the Blue Jackets sit at 52%, and that's not surprising because the last 2 seasons, the Blue Jackets have shown that they're good at scoring goals, and especially at 5-on-5, they can have good 5-on-5 play. They've shown that they're good at 5-on-5, and they're good at scoring goals. So I'm not surprised by this, that the Blue Jackets are definitely one of the better teams when it comes to 5-on-5 play, when it comes to analytics. Let's see, that's 8. So they're top 10. They're number 8. So that's pretty good. So I'm not surprised that the Blue Jackets are one of the best teams when it comes to analytics. One of the best teams when it comes to 5-on-5 play for goals when it comes to analytics, because they've shown last 2 seasons that they're good at 5-on-5 and they're good at scoring goals. So that's not surprising that when it comes to analytics, they're doing good, that they're one of the best in hockey when it comes to 5-on-5 goals for. Again, check the bookmarks one last time. No. I'm going to get it. That's it. Yeah. You know, let's see here. Right here. You know what? We got 3 more things. We'll put this up on the screen here. So, this is from CBJ GameBot on Twitter, that anytime like a goal happens, they track it and they have like this cool like little GIF on like how it happened on the ice. So this is the Matthew Olivier goal. So the Blue Jackets get the puck. There's Damon Severson. There's Zach Werenski. Passes it to Zach Werenski. Now, Zach Werenski makes a good play where he gets 2 guys to get on him. See, look, 2 guys right on him. And then Zach Werenski's going to pass it over to Matthew Olivier, and Matthew Olivier is going to shoot and score. Now, this is kind of a harder shot for him because right-handed shot on the right side of the ice, but he still scores. Because look, Zach Werenski, 2 guys on him, going to pass the puck. Matthew Olivier is going to shoot, and he's going to score. So that's pretty cool. Here we have the GIF for Zach Werenski's goal against the Flyers. So the puck battle along the boards. The Blue Jackets get it. Now, Adam Fantilli, he also does a good job where he gets 2 guys on him. And then Zach Werenski's going to come into the offensive zone. He's going to get it, and then he's going to shoot and score. And then, oh, you see it? A nice little pass to Marchment, and then he's going to get it to to Severson, and then Werenski. Boom, score. Like, we'll play that again. So puck along the boards. They get Fantilli gets it. He gets two guys on him, which leaves Marchment open. And because you have two guys on Fantilli and this guy, he's over here, that leaves all this open ice for Zach Werenski and Damon Severson. So boom. Like, these guys they're way out of the play. They're over here. And Severson gets it. And then Werenski's going to get it. And it's too late because these guys are way over here. This guy's kind of over here, and like no one's on Zach Werenski. And then he's going to shoot and score. And then finally, we have the goal that Mason Marchment scored. Puck battle along the boards. Marchenko's going to get it. He's going to get two guys on him, and then kind of an awkward angle right here, but Mason Marchment gets it, and he's going to shoot and score. Remember, he's a left-handed shot on the left side of the ice, and it's kind of an awkward angle, but he gets it, and he's going to go. It's going to go in. Bing, and it goes in. There we go. Good goal. Good goal. Anyways, that's it for now. Well, you know what? Baseball is back. Just want to give a quick shout out to the Reds and the Guardians. Best of luck to the Reds and Guardians this season. You both had good seasons last season. The Reds made the playoffs, and the Guardians made the playoffs. So let's have another good season this year. Reds and Guardians, let's have another good season. So to the Cincinnati Reds and the Cleveland Guardians, best of luck to you this season. One last time, best of luck to the Reds and Guardians this season. And great to be able to say that I can watch hockey and baseball again. That's two of my favorite sports to watch. Hockey and baseball. So that's cool that I can, see the Blue Jackets play and, baseball's back too. And if I want to see the Reds play, that's cool too. And Hefty Duck, he's a big Guardians guy, so he can see the Guardians play, and that's cool. So shout out to the Reds and the Guardians this season. Let's have another good season. So I'm going to say a couple more things, and then I'm going to get out of here because, oh my goodness, this show's been over 3 hours. Over 3 hours to be exact. So please like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That would be greatly appreciated. Please like, please share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please tell your family. Please tell your friends. Like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And as always, got to give. I got to give a shout out to my awesome Uncle Doc. got to give a shout out to my awesome Uncle Doc, the best of the best. What a guy. I love talking to you so much. I love talking hockey with you so much. I love seeing you at family get-togethers like birthday parties and holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's Eve and Easter and so much more. And, you're a big baseball guy. You love the Chicago Cubs. You always wore that Cubs hat that you have on in this picture. That was your favorite Cubs hat. You always wore that Cubs hat. And, baseball's back, like I said. And I wonder, what you think about how the Cubs would be doing this season. Because, you were a big Cubs guy. And wish you're still here so I could get your thoughts on how you think the Cubs will do this year. And then I could tell you my thoughts on how I think the Reds are going to do. And miss talking to you. You were also a big hockey guy. And it's kind of part of the reason why I'm kind of big into hockey too, is because of you. You really kind of inspired me and really got me into hockey and pushed me into that direction. You were there for my street hockey tournaments and you reffed it and you helped me out a lot with that. And I appreciate it so much. You encouraged me to do better. You helped me out with my street hockey tournaments, and you encouraged me to do even better with that. And I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Uncle Doc. I wish you were still here so I could talk hockey with you. You were a big Blackhawks guy. But, the Blue Jackets became your second favorite team because of me. You had a favorite Blue Jackets hat that you had that I gave to you because back in January of 2020, I did a big Ohio trip because my dad got a severance package from his job. And, he decided to use some of that money to do a big Ohio trip with me. And we went to Cincinnati and we went to Columbus and saw Ohio State hockey and 2 Blue Jackets games. And, of course, there was a game watch party at our bar when the Blue Jackets beat the Rangers 2-1 on the road at the Rangers in New York. We did that. We went to Canton for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But at one of those Blue Jackets games, the Blue Jackets beat the Carolina Hurricanes. And the giveaway for that game was a blue camo Blue Jackets hat because it was military night at the Blue Jackets game. So they gave away a blue camo Blue Jackets hat. And we got 3 of them, and my dad's like, well, what are we going to do with that? We only need 2. And it's like, oh, well, we'll give it to Doc. He'll wear it. And you did, and you loved wearing that blue camo Blue Jackets hat. You had a cooking job at Stuckey's in Johnsburg, Illinois, and you'd wear that hat. And your fellow cooking co-workers would say, oh, that's a nice hat. What is that? And you say, oh, it's a Blue Jackets hat. Hockey. My nephew gave it to me. Oh, that's a cool hat. And I always just loved it when you told me that story. So I wish you're still here so I could talk hockey with you. You could tell me your thoughts on how you think the Blackhawks are doing so far this season. And I could tell you my thoughts on how I think the Blue Jackets are doing so far this season. And this past Sunday, March 29th, 2026, would have been your 65th birthday. You are missed so much by your family and friends. You are loved and missed so much by your family and friends, including me. You still should be here. But unfortunately, you're not. You died in September of 2024. And it sucks. I hate it, and I wish you were still here. So, you would have been 65 this past Sunday, March 29th, 2026. So, I wish you were still here. You should still be here. You should still be here. I wish you were still here. So, shout out to my awesome Uncle Doc. I wish you were still here so I could talk hockey with you. Thank you for everything. So, our next show is going to be on Monday, April 6th, 2026 at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, live on YouTube and Twitter. So again, one last time, our next show will be on Monday, April 6th, 2026 at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And one last thing for me. Don't forget to check out Union Blue Soldiers. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. It's a fun Blue Jackets themed group that I run. We do a lot of fun stuff like the marches that bring Blue Jackets fans together to cheer on the Blue Jackets that have been featured in the Columbus Dispatch, 97.1 The Fan. Have you been to a Blue Jackets game in the last, 7 years or so? You've seen the Union Blue Soldiers marches on TV. You've seen it on the scoreboard at Blue Jackets games. If you've been to a Blue Jackets game within the last 7 years, you've seen the Union Blue Soldiers marches on the scoreboard at Blue Jackets games. It's been featured for ticket commercials during Blue Jackets games. The Blue Jackets have participated in 3 of our marches, 2021, 2022, 2023. Stinger has been there. The people who throw the T-shirts in the crowd at the Blue Jackets games have been there. It's been on TV, like Clay Hall, ABC 6 News, Whitney Harding, NBC4, Adam King from 10 TV. He's been there twice. Clay Hall's been there twice. So the march that Union Blue Soldiers does, it's a lot of fun, and you should check it out. It's before every Blue Jackets home opener and home playoff games. I've done marches for Union Blue Soldiers during Blue Jackets home playoff games. So check it out. It's just a fun place to be with your fellow Blue Jackets fans. And check out Union Blue Soldiers. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. Follow Union Blue Soldiers on all social media platforms. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. So, that's it for me, and Hefty Doc. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching, and check out Union Blue Soldiers. So I'm done talking for now, so that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. So I'm done now. We'll see you next time. Bye now!